are.
Oh, hey, everybody.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Yeah, if you're tuning in right now, my name's Tyler Norton, and this is Pete Woods. We're here at Up the Block in Mississauga for the semifinals round of Canadian Open Bouldering Nationals 2018. It is semifinals, so that means at the peak of the climbing, we're going to have 8 climbers going all at once, so a lot of stuff to watch. Semifinals never super easy to talk about or you know, even spectate, but why not hang out and chat about it and point out the cool stuff and yeah, just have a good time with it, because you know, we're here anyways.
Right, we're not going anywhere. Semifinals basically takes care of itself. There's so much going on that the crowd is always focused on so many things, so it tends to be just loud in there. Out here, we're going to try and let you know as much as possible what's going on from what we're seeing. We went and had a look at the boulders earlier, so there's definitely parts of the problems you can't see from the camera angles, so we'll give you some of that insight, tell you how good some of those holds are, how bad some of those holds are.
Yeah, exactly.
And get on the chat, ask us questions. You know, we'll understand that we're not going to be 100% looking at it, but we look, you know, up and down, and we'll try and do what we can to answer your questions, and we're trying to do what we can to keep it entertaining, as much as watching climbing is entertaining in itself.
Exactly. Yeah,
we'll see if we can make it more interesting.
Yeah. But anyways, it sounds like climbing has already started. I think Jason or JJ Ma has already completed his first problem. So I think we're just going to flick over to the climbing, and we got a few cameras going. We're going to be flicking in and out as we go. We did take, I think, 23 men into semifinals because we had a 3-way tie on the bubble. Of course, there were 2 foreign nationals that qualified yesterday, Florent Balcez and Alex Fritz. So we took more than normal. So right now you've got David Trudeau from Quebec on your screen on men's number 1. Did you get a chance to look at this problem close?
I did. I had a good look at this one. It's a coordination move right off the bat to a decent screw-on that second volume, on the bonus volume. I mean, it's not a jug by any stretch of the imagination, but it's decent. And then from what I look at, it's basically a shuffle up the volume and a small dead point to that finish hold. Straightforward in terms of solving the puzzle, but it's a coordination. It's maybe a low percentage, few moves in there.
Yeah, so there's 4 volumes there on the problem. The top one is bonus. There's a blue kilter hold on there, which is like, it's a rounded edge, so you can get a couple hands on it, but if you don't hit it the right spot, it's not that great. Your feet are huge, but yeah, so talking about going up to the top, I'm curious if they're going to be matching the bonus and somehow launching up there, or if they're going to need to maybe bring a left hand down to the 3rd volume and just rock over it, kind of drive by to the finish.
Yeah, we'll see what he does, and I'm sure I have no doubt that JJ sent this just because of how well he climbs.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that looks doable right there.
It looks very doable. I originally thought maybe you would want to shuffle up that volume, but it's not very good to press through.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look as far.
There's about a hand's worth of a good space, and yeah, not in cut, but you know, flat enough that we're going to do all right. And the finish hold, of course, is not that great. The good spot's way at the back, so you got to really get deep inside that thing.
It's kind of the classic finish hold that if you're moving dynamically to, the farther you swing, the worse it gets, because it is that rounded sloper. So if you can stay low in low control, you should be fine to hold the swing. But if you get too much momentum going, you're going to be way out off on the mat.
Yeah, and David almost making the first move not static, but managing to keep the full cross. And we'll see if he just goes for a straight-up launch to this thing. But there goes the foot.
There are no screw-ons on that volume for your foot, so you are relying solely on friction.
None at all. But yeah, from what I understand, a lot of the volumes are new for this comp. I don't know about these ones on men's number 1 specifically, but on men's 2, we're going to see some new volumes from PCM out of Quebec. There are some new dimension volumes coming later in the round, and so there is a lot of texture. As much as we're not seeing holds, there's going to be some. I'm calling that we're going to see some blood today, Pete.
I don't disagree, and I know that people feel that the morpho holds draw blood, and there are a handful of morpho holds, and some of those volumes you are in the later problems, you are wrapping edges. And the texture on those is sharp, and if you slide down those, you can just imagine what that's going to do to the inside of your hand. Davin on his 3rd try going for that finish hold, getting in and out, but not really getting enough contact to make it stick. I'm excited to see, I'm pointing at the screen, and you definitely can't see that. I'm pointing to Tyler. I'm excited to see, just on the top left of your screen, are a couple of So Ill in-cut volumes.
Yeah.
they're these sloping circles that are really devious. And
yeah, those
are
the new Cryptochild innies. Yeah, I guess belly button inspired at this point. I don't really know what's going on over there with Jason Kale. He's just.
Do you ever know what's going on with Jason Kale?
Nobody has any idea, man.
No, but he's making some pretty cool shapes, and SoWill is one of those progressive hole companies that's pouring things that they want to pour in the hopes to make indoor climbing as interesting as possible.
Yeah. Now, David, at least on his third or fourth try now, and he's getting his hand in there. Just got to make it stick this time. So come on now, David.
Yeah. And it looks like just the way he's coming off, his feet are coming off that volume, he's not getting a lot of upward momentum from his feet. So he looks, obviously there's texture on them, but they're not great.
No.
Now fatigue starts to set in that 5-minute time frame. He's going to walk away with a bonus, but no top. So we got a couple of gaps here at the beginning with men only climbing because we took 4 extra men than we did women into the round. So for the first couple climbers, we're just going to see men on the boulders. As we see Lucas Uchida coming out and JJ Ma about to start on number 2. Once we get down to, I believe, Ben Hughes. So right after Lucas, we're going to have our first female climber come out. That's going to be Justine McCarney. But for now, we get to see JJ Ma, who was a podium finisher last year, probably make pretty good work of these semis. Then we're going to see a bit of a lull in tops, I would imagine, followed by some people coming back in to those top end climbers and seeing more tops on these boulders again. But Lucas and JJ, who should, we think, have finished higher in the semifinal round, should definitely be doing good work right off the bat.
Yeah, talk about having the opportunity to actually see some tops early on in a semifinals round. Definitely not the usual thing. But yeah, from what I've heard from the BC folks is JJ hasn't had much of a training year. He's been busy with work, and I mean, with a job like his, it sounds pretty sick, so I would too.
I don't know if I would call it work. He's been on like 4 or 5 ski trips sponsored by Arc'teryx, so if that's work, sign me up.
Yeah, you know what? If I were a better skier, a better a lot of things, I would do a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, Lucas Uchida too, somebody who maybe trends having better results in youth comps, and then in the open comps, maybe it affects his head a little bit, but definitely not happy about his results yesterday, and honestly, pretty lucky that he made it through. Although there was, he still got a lot of tops. It was just a very, very tight round between everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he's pretty disappointed and also surprised, and I don't know that it wasn't the field that put him down there. It was his performance in that field. You can't make mistakes, and there you see him doing that move very easily.
Yeah. All I can hope is now that he's coming into the semifinals round with, in my opinion, if you qualify basically at the bottom, that maybe lightens up the pressure a little bit. People don't see you necessarily as a top 10 climber. I mean, we still do. But when you're qualified 23rd, then there's not much further down you can go,
you
man,
you cannot go any further down. And people, there's the bottom to top scenario, which is definitely in the back of your mind is like, oh, I could come and rock it out. And just JJ Ma, in the beginning of men's 2, is really having issues with the angles of the start. And I went and looked at the body position. That is a small space and a lot of limbs, and the foothold, and he's now going to try and maybe do something far more interesting if he can get a foot / a knee there.
Yeah. So I noticed the exact same thing you did. Is this mantle is very tight, and I don't know how tall all of the guys are, but if you're a regular height dude, you're going to be you're going to have to really cozy up in there. Fun part about this problem is these are a lot of the new PCM 2 texture volumes. So most of them only have texture maybe on one facet of the pyramid or towards the apex of it. So you'll have gloss towards the wall and then texture towards the peak. So kind of interested to see how these things last and how the climbers adjust to them.
Yeah, they are really devious. You sort of, and it's not immediately obvious. The ones you can see at eye height, you can tell, but there's going to be a few little surprises when people with slightly inaccurate foot movements realize that is a dual text volume. And this move is definitely going to be insecure.
I feel like he can reach this. If he gets a solid toe, he can just lean over, but
I mean, think how bad that left foot is. You're putting all of your weight
I don't think that's. I think just trying to get his leg up by his elbow in that tight corner might be tough. We'll see what happens.
Who doesn't want to put their toes up by their elbows?
It's rock climbing, man. That's what we do.
That's what we do. Interesting on the start, and it took them a few tries to figure out that the route setters, through the deviousness of tape, have set the climbers up to be starting with one hand on the left, and ideally you want both hands on the right, even though it's an awkward toe tap. So they're kind of gonna sucker a few people into some falls at the very beginning, just by saying, "Oh, the obvious start is 2 feet in a hand," but the move out of that is really not the way it's intended to be done.
Did we just lose some lights?
It just got very dark.
It did get very dark.
I mean, it's dramatic.
It's very dramatic, and now you know where the comp's being hosted at the very least, I guess.
And you can't really see the holds at all.
Yeah, the holds are gone.
It is interesting, the gray on gray. I mean, it's basically the same color as the wall.
Yeah, and it's a nice aesthetic. But yeah, I mean, not like there's not already a million debates about how holds are used in climbing competitions. But yeah,
hiding them against the texture.
Yeah, if we're talking about a spectator sport, maybe we should make it so you can see them sometimes. But it's all good. I do like how it looks, especially when you're climbing it. It's pretty beautiful. Just maybe we just got to address the lighting so that we can see it properly. But looks like that's going to be it for Mr. Ma.
Yeah, running out of time and would not have secured the bonus even if you had not run out of time there.
Yeah.
So now we have Ben Hughes is out, and our first climber on the far left, you see Justine McCarney. And David Trudeau comes out to have a look at men's number 2. So what you can't see around the corner on women's 1 is there is one of those so ill scoops to start, and then a volume around the corner with not a bad sloping kind of rail that's going to get a lot of heel and toe action, I think. And there's a big body tension move to hold this start.
Yeah, I think the fun thing for a lot of these Canadian climbers is this might be the first time a lot of them have touched these innies, and like a lot of these new.
You definitely
pockets,
just said that.
That is the trademark name. I do my research, Pete. But there's those holds where we're not familiar with them, and you have 360 degrees of different ways to grab each one. So, I mean, they'll be grabbing the obvious way, I think, just grabbing in the nearest possible direction, but it might not always be the best way, so it'll be a learning experience for them.
Yeah.
Davin made the start okay, so that's looking nice. I'm curious if he can just kind of get the body positioning to actually get bonus on men's number 2.
And maybe just a little bit taller than JJ. JJ, not your tallest men's semifinalist. David might be able to just press out off his right hand and go to the bonus without needing to get his right foot up in that orange fronted volume. So Ben is having a look at what this finish move is going to do. Same as David, at least one try to go and see if cupping the volume is going to help him get any closer, but went almost statically.
That's it right there from David. That's a beautiful attempt. And now it's just trying to manipulate that tiny little volume.
And a sketchy foot match.
Yeah, his left foot's going to have to go out to the volume on the left, which you can see now. And he's going to be going up to another tiny volume. It's got a little bit of a dual-tech screw-on on it, but just enough to hold it and finish that top.
Really nice.
First top on men's 2 goes to Quebec. Nice job, David.
You always feel good topping boulders, no matter where you are in the round, no matter which round you're in. It's hard to not top the first one. The mental aspect of 5 on, 5 off of on-site climbing is that you can't even go back and commiserate with your other competitors about, oh, who did one and I didn't do that one either, and oh, that's not so bad. You're left in your own head saying, everyone's going to do the boulder and I didn't do it. How am I going to recover from that? Ben Hughes on his second shot towards the finish hold. I think we've been talking to no one.
I don't know, man.
It says 19 waiting. Oh, cool. I can't see it on my laptop. All right, so we have people.
Sure.
All right, we believe you. I'm looking at my laptop in which I see only that we're waiting for the start. But I guess your people are there.
All right, Ben Hughes probably on what's his final attempt on men's number 1. Big old feet. We've seen way more success going for kind of a dynamic movement, but if he can stretch it with a push, then it all goes, and that's a lock bonus, but he's been here before. Now it's all about somehow finding that momentum and locking down the finish. But just misses again. What a punisher of a finish hold.
I might have the wrong feed up on my laptop to see what's going on. So anybody that is looking at, who's on the chat where I said hi, I'm going to go back out and see if there's... No, there we go.
All right, so we got Lucas Uchida on men's number 2, and Kirill Kressling, one of the Up the Block homeboys, managed to qualify for this thing. I think he was pretty surprised in an Instagram post. He was saying that he expected somewhere closer to 40th place rather than 20th. But a lot of people had great days yesterday, and they get rewarded with a spot in semifinals at Nationals. So we'll see if Kirill can really lock it down and show that he earned that spot.
Mm-hmm. And then Lisa Vandepan is out coming from Alberta.
Yeah, man.
Climbing for the Boulder team. She's a good, young, strong climber.
Finals in junior nationals 2 weeks ago.
No, so she's locked down that first move. Justine didn't get a lot of success over there, but Lisa's right away moved up through the heel hook to get to this bonus, and then the finish will be interesting. Lucas up pretty easily on men's 2. Lisa trying to go dynamically around the corner. It'd be interesting to see if the span of that swing is something that's easier to hold, or if the static movement with a heel hook and coming around the corner locked in is going to be an easier move for those. Like I said, those holds are not great. I mean, they're not bad in the right angle. Like you were saying, there are 360-degree holds, but the effectiveness changes depending on what the angle of attack is.
Yeah, and of course, again, they have to keep their feet around the left side of the wall unless they want to campus it, so they're going to have to really work that stuff out. And again, we are only on our second female climber. We had 3 extra men due to some quotas and ties. So Lisa on women's 1 is the second woman out. We'll see women's number 2 go live in the next cycle. So you're not missing anything just yet. Although we got Jason Ma on men's number 3. New problem, full of morpho volumes and some entreprise bubbles and a big Delir pinch that he's about to go to right now. But doesn't get the momentum. Don't think he felt comfortable rocking over that foot.
No, and that is a nasty boulder, that one.
This thing is highly textured volumes that'll leave a mark, and a lot of screw-ons on a lot of them, but really just thin little rails. So it's a pretty crimpy problem altogether.
Those the first volume after the start has 2. I mean, they are not even half pad crimps on them. They are bad holds.
Yeah.
We had a request if there's any chance we can move this camera angle a bit to the left to see just a little bit more of women's 1. We can't get around the corner. We can't show you that. But we get Lisa there sticking that bonus hold. And I'm just going to ride that heel. Oh, and that's close. Just shy on the dead point.
Kirill's going to be happy about the bonus, but the top is the hard part on men's number 1. He's giving it a good old college try, though, but damn, man, you got to hold the thing if you want the top.
That was a full swing. If you're going to go with that much up, you got to have a lot of stick. And Lucas, having got through the bonus and missed the foot match going to the finish, is now having some issues getting established back up in the middle.
Yeah, DJ, I think his name is just G. I asked him what his name was. We're just calling him G, but he's some throwback tunes today. All these kids won't appreciate it.
No, not really.
I barely appreciate it, man. All right, Lucas, you got this thing. You've climbed harder.
Lisa back up.
Yeah, this has to be Lisa's last chance on this thing. She's not going to have gas for this after this.
No, she missed the first move a few times as well, so you know that that's slowly draining the tank.
Yeah, if she can just keep the left foot around the corner and reach through to this thing, and then maybe cranking a toe into the bonus.
That's one, and the match might be...
Bring it, Lisa. Come on now.
Just really, she's trying to get that right foot around the corner for some body tension help. Oh, there might be nothing worse than having one hand on the start hold and having serious issues being able to match it. I mean, it says to me the good route setting. I love that, but as a competitor, it just twists your heart a little bit.
Yeah, man. But you got to fight for those tops.
Absolutely.
No gimmies.
I was going to say all we care about is tops, but not anymore we don't.
Well,
now we care about bonuses. Tops. I only care about tops as well.
I don't look at any. Oh God.
Hey, it's us.
Hey, guys. Yeah, well, aside from the scoring changes, I did want to bring something up that I was talking to Dustin, who shed some insight on the philosophy behind this round. Mm-hmm. Some people say maybe yesterday's round was a little too easy. That's for you to decide, but they are very aware that semifinals is really the round where you start to decide who makes it to the national team. Most of the national team is decided based on your rank, which is calculated between your placing at provincial events and at this national event. So a lot of those points are going to be allocated today, right?
Right.
So they're very aware that, hey, this round has to be legit and it has to properly allocate those points to the people who deserve them. So we're seeing harder problems and they've got the right idea behind it. Even if you don't make it to finals, just a good performance in semis can lock you a spot on that national team. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Glad the setters acknowledged it.
Yeah, and I think they're okay with having a couple of ties in the qualifying round. They're okay with having some flash. And it's interesting that people do say maybe that round was too easy, but not a lot of people top 5 boulders. So the hard problems were still hard, and they were still only done by the top 8 or 9 climbers. So you can say that the middle boulders were a shade too easy. However, you're still splitting the field. They didn't get a 25-way tie for first place, so they weren't that easy.
Yeah, no, exactly. Oh, I'm liking this from Justine, but
as well.
But that shoulder has a history of injury, if I remember right, and I'm concerned that she's. Oh man, that's looking great though.
Wow, that's strong. It does not look like a good time, but that was a good, strong attempt.
Yeah, she's going to be hyped about that, man. Good on her. Oh, she got tape on both shoulders.
Both shoulders.
That's not fun for a move like that.
Remy Christin is out on number 1, and that puts
Sophie Buitendijk out on number 1 for the women. I'm really curious to see the body positioning for a top on women's number 1.
Oh, yeah, we just scooched the camera over enough to give us the full wonderful stuff.
Yeah, so if you're watching, we're running with stationary cameras for semifinals. Running live streams, expensive stuff, so we got a few cameras set up, but we're keeping it manned to save some cash. And then in finals, we're going to have the full crew out. And I'm excited for how that's going to go. If you're watching semifinals, you're a diehard anyway. You understand the struggle.
Oh, the struggle count is now at 1.
Struggle, yeah.
The struggle count is at 1, and that's tie with 1 struggle.
I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah, that's always a thing.
That's thanks a West Coast thing, apparently.
No, thanks to American Nationals.
That's fair. That's
the one year where I think they said the word.
Yes.
I mean, in the hundreds of times over the entire weekend. The struggle count is now a thing.
Yeah, okay. I will. I'll try and acknowledge that and make sure I don't fall into that trap.
No. And once you've had 1 or 2, you might as well go all in and try and get as many as you can.
Oh no, I'm gonna pull out a thesaurus and figure out what else I can say.
Yeah. Remy gonna try and go static, which is burly and awkward, both at the same time. Can we explain the scoring? We have not talked about it yet. What the scoring is in semifinals and finals and qualifiers, of course, is that we count the number of tops that each climber gets, and then the number of bonuses that each climbers get. And then if there is, to break the tie, essentially, we look at the number of attempts that it took to get those tops, and then the number of attempts that it took to get those bonuses. So it's tops and bonuses, attempts to top, attempts to bonus. Up until just this year, it was tops and attempts to top, and then bonuses and attempts to bonus. So that scoring change is something we will discuss. We'll probably talk about it maybe a little bit more during finals. We'll address it here and there as it affects route setting, as it affects the climber's approach to the problems, and whether that one more try is worth it to get to a bonus instead of a top. Personally, I like the older format that we were using. It'd be fun to see how it shakes out over the next couple of seasons. But that's what we've got, so we're not going to change. It doesn't matter how much complaining people do. The scoring has changed, and that's from the IFSC right on down. So we are going to embrace it and see what it does for our competitors.
The route setters acknowledge that they did make a bit of a strategic change to how they place the bonuses on the problems with this new change. So they kind of expressed that in the past, often the bonus would be approximately halfway through the problem. And this time around, they are trying to make a more conscious attempt to put those bonuses up towards the top. They want them kind of in the very last third of the problem, so that it does require a bit more work to gain that recognition. Mm-hmm. So, maybe that's the right way to do it. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. But again, like when you make a scoring change, it doesn't just affect the climbers. It does affect the route setters as well. And it's a very two-way game. So they're going to need to work together and see how things evolve. It's not something we can necessarily just judge right off the top, although I certainly have.
And so I judged it before we even had a competition in which that scoring was brought into play. I judged it.
Yeah.
And it's a learning experience. So it's going to take some trial and some error to understand, watch the route setters, watch the climbers perform on the way they've set those boulders, and then make those micro adjustments in the next comp and the next comp. And one would think by nationals next year, they will have dialed in the best way to test the climbers with the new format.
Yeah. So we've got Aidan Doyle from British Columbia making his first attempts on men's number 1, and to his left is Veronique Goslin from Quebec. Kirill Kressling is the other climber in the middle of your screen. He's a local Ontario boy.
And we could maybe have a quick look at women's 2 and men's 3, if that's an option. Yeah, it is.
Jason Ma on his final climb of the day.
Oh, and this is a good-looking boulder. I'm excited to see the top of this because this is a wrestling match.
It is. Yeah, Dustin was saying that this was the designated American-style problem for the round. So the start, there's an opportunity to make a critical mistake as you leave the start, but it looks like Jason didn't if he made it this far. And then at the point where JJ is right now, you're really just pushing and pulling on blank faces. There are no screw-ons on the upside-down triangle volume, so you just got to work your way through and balance that to hit the kaiju. One hand is good, 2 hands is better.
A nice toe on either side of that block. That's pretty from JJ Ma.
That's a nice finish from him.
And I had to catch myself. I was like, oh, Alex Fricker on men's 3. But Alex Fricker, who will be disappointed not to have made the semifinal, has decided to step up to the demand to have an MC on the floor and took on the challenge. So that's right in the middle of the screen. I thought, oh, Alex is climbing. I'm so used to Alex climbing in the semifinal round.
Well, if you know Alex, you know he's got pipes, and he's either using them when he's falling, topping, or now emceeing.
Yeah,
so
we might hear an Alex Fricker scream.
I'd be really curious to see what evokes a scream from him, if not his own climbing. But yeah, maybe we'll see it in finals or something. I hope he's emceeing for finals. That'd be a lot of fun.
He's going to take it on. I think he's going to go. This is his warm up.
Yeah,
and then he's going to try finals out for sure.
Yeah, you got to try it out first, man. It's a lot to take on.
Well, split screen was we had some fans of the split screen option. All right, so Lucas going to show us what men's 3 looks like from the start, and Lisa Van de Pan is staring rather remorsefully at number 2. Yeah, so the move to that pinch, the route setters think that's the hardest move on this boulder, to go and establish the bonus on men's 3. You've got no static options. You are making a dead point move to that pinch, and it is not very good. It is wide and then gets skinnier just slightly as you get to the edge. So you need to really lock that one down to make that swing stick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's one of the new holds for this comp, so it's seen some use. And as we all know, textured fiberglass, it only gets slippery as time goes on. So maybe that text is going away slowly. Slowly
but surely. Lisa Van de Pan getting 1.5 hands on the finish hold, and she didn't really lock that shoulder press in. She kind of had her thumbs up under the lip, and it's a low angle, but it's still an angle, and unless you can do thumb push-ups, it's going to be hard to hold that finish hold with just your thumbs.
Yeah, that's a really interesting move to see set for the women. I like that a lot. A lot of weird upper body strength. Veronique gets one hand on the finish of women's number 1, but the one is still not enough, and that's
I don't think that's. I don't. If I'm a judge, I don't give her that.
No, that's no top, but that's the closest we've seen so far.
Yeah. And she did hang that toe hook around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, the holds around the corner are funny because as much as you need to toe hook them, they're not angled to really oppose you. They're very much up and down, like great for climbing under, but going from the sides, there's not a lot to get friction on.
No, you end up with that sort of weird hip, knee, toe, ankle, like if your foot is upside down while you're still going up.
Just a yucky scum.
It's a strange flexibility that definitely not everybody has.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, we're going to do the turnover. Everybody's signing their scorecards.
I'm gonna pull a clock up so we get a rotating close to 5 minutes.
Yeah, good idea.
That'll help us out. It's not going to be perfect, but we will give you an idea of how much longer we've got on each boulder. Right now, it's about 5 minutes.
Yeah, roughly 5 minutes. See, I'm doing homework here. I'm like playing video games on my computer. And
I was just texting with my mom, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's not a whole lot to say. I wanted to bring up, just because you are from Alberta, the climbers that came through so far in this round. Lisa's one of them. There's some notable names missing from Alberta. Can you give me some insight as to what's going on, especially possibly with some of your favorite climbers?
Yeah, 2 of my favorite climbers, who at this point I think we might have to give favorite Sethna to Jason Hollowatch at this point. Both of the Sethnas are disappointingly injured. Eric has been fighting a finger injury all season, but had got to the point where he was climbing V4 on the moonboard, which, if you know the moonboard, means you can pull on your fingers, and then had a pretty serious injury in Bishop climbing trip just last week, and fractured his heel. So he is out for that reason, and Elise picked up a bit of a knee injury skiing a month or so ago, and had tried to climb a little bit in the gym after coming back from some easy boulders in Bishop, and just wasn't comfortable with falling on it, and then decided that the right thing to do to avoid further injury was to walk away from Nationals. So this is the first Nationals in a long time without a Sethna represented. I mean, I love to watch them climb, so I'm disappointed they're not here. I'm definitely more disappointed that they're injured.
Yeah.
But they'll be back better than ever next season.
Yeah, no, exactly. Our new climbers on the wall from Ontario is Kat Karkner on women's number 1. And from Quebec is Seb Lazur, who I can't see him on the screen yet. I'm hoping he's here.
Maybe he forgot his scorecard and run back into ISO to get your scorecard.
Seb Lazur's had an excellent season, just showing up to a lot of comps. Of course, last year he committed to the World Cup Series. Seb flashed it.
We missed it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Seb is sitting in his chair with his well-earned 3-minute rest.
Good. Yeah, no, he had an awesome season, and he's always the kind of a perennial favorite for if not finals, for actually topping things out. He had some good results at World Cups, a lot of wins throughout the local circuit this year, so we'll see if he can maybe nab a national championship. Nice top from Sophie.
Yes, you made that look pretty smooth.
Yeah, that was nice. And Remy rocking on some more of those Quebec volumes. Only a tiny little screw-on for your foot there. He's going for the full-on mantle.
And you'll notice quite a few climbers are going to come out with a mat or a towel or a shirt. With the vinyl mats in this gym, the floor gets very, very chalky very, very quickly, and it does get a lot of chalk on your shoes. So being able to clean your shoes off right before each attempt is definitely a good thing. And I've seen quite a few climbers already have MacGyvered something up to make sure they can keep their shoes clean just before they step off the ground. Remy, a tall climber. He should be able to get to this bonus without too much effort, other than the fact that the feet are terrible.
Yeah, and they're not even bad so much as just scary, because you know half of what you're stepping on has no texture at all, and I think they're really just trying to get used to these things.
Yeah, and it's not something they've seen before.
Exactly, yeah, they're fresh for this comp.
And horrible, and I'd be angry. I'd come on and go, really? Dual text foot volumes? Do you want me to fall? And the answer is yes, they do.
Just wait till the fully glossy feet come out. Friends, give that 5 years. You'll be stepping on soapy glass.
That harkens back to the second nationals that Joe Rockheads hosted, where they made volumes out of PVC.
Why not?
And they were high gloss. You could not use them other than the footholds that they put on them. And they were super insecure, and everyone hated them, which is kind of what route setters want.
Route setters don't want friends.
No, they don't have them to begin with. A couple questions here. Man Ellis, how's it going, man? Do we know how the scoring affected the results yesterday? It affected the results in the fact that we had 1st to 20th. Because we're not going to go backwards from the current scoring to the old scoring, that just serves to disappoint people. We do have some interesting work done by Seb Lazur, did some recalculation of results this year to the new results, and found that not a lot actually changed, especially in the top. None of the podiums would have been affected applying the new scoring system. So one would have to assume that at the top of the field yesterday, that not much would have changed.
Yeah, the only one I heard of, Dana Monteith mentioned that she would have popped up 10 spots and made it into semis based on her results.
That's significant.
That is significant, yeah. And, you know, we're going to need to watch a lot more comps before we can actually say whether or not these are regular things, so I'm not going to call it out too much. But we got some new climbers on the wall. We have a first-year Open competitor, Guy McNamee from British Columbia on men's number 1. Born in 2002, so this is his very first shot at an Open comp. And he got into semifinals pretty safe, man.
Yeah, very safe.
Can't complain. And then for the women, so long as
Tiff
I don't...
Melius.
Oh, perfect.
Who's from Australia, but in BC.
Exactly. Yeah, she seems just really happy to be competing again.
Look at big Aidan Doyle in a very small space on men's number 2.
He's exactly the guy I was worried about for a climb like this, man. That's a big body to fit between those holds.
Look how comfortable he looks with his knee above his head.
Exactly. That's
wonderful stuff. Guy McNamee, a very, very, very strong climber, but moves very statically. Okay. He loves to be in control between holds. Lucas making a good effort to one-arm that swing. We see, we haven't really seen women's 3 here, so Lisa Van de Pan is going to show us what that looks like. Yeah, so Guy, very, very strong. They're great route climbers, but they move so slowly the dynamic boulders will often give them fits on the first few tries. He looked stymied by the first move on the qualifier yesterday, which was a coordination dyno, and then took him 4 or 5 tries to get up the decision to go that dynamically, and then he stuck it quite easily.
I was watching him in the finals at Youth Boulder Nationals, and he had the chance to really lock down the entire comp on the third problem. But yeah, there was kind of a dynamic, pretty big, like it was a big old move, and it seemed to be what knocked him down, and unfortunately couldn't take the win because of that. But yeah, I'm impressed. I mean, anybody coming into their first year of Open and making it to semifinals, that's a legit accomplishment. So I'm excited to see how he climbs over the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. So am I. And, you know, as you come through that age, you are growing and maturing, and you get used to the size you've grown into, and you start to put on a little bit more muscle, and you're uncoordinated for a little while, and then you're recoordinated again. And, you know, one has to think that if under the right coaching and under the right circumstances, that if you're this good at this age, then in 4 or 5 years, you will come out as still a top-end climber.
Yep. Definitely possible.
So let's stay with Lisa and Lucas here for a minute. Lucas opting to go feet. Now he's going to try and work his way into some squeeze on that big block to match the finish hold. And we'll see what Lisa's going to do on this dynamic women's boulder. Lucas fighting to find the body position to make that match. And Lisa really wants to get her feet up. This is also a very devious boulder. Those 2 blue and black crimps, the one is the bonus that you see up there and one at the bottom of that volume. They're guarded crimps. So the root cells have put a hold right on top so that you can't overshoot. You've got to slot your fingers into that space. It's a wonderful little technique. It's come up in the last few years. I love it. I love that it forces accuracy, but as a competitor, it just makes me angry.
It's caused some trouble in judging as well when you set one of them as a start hold.
Yes.
Your fingers are rubbing against the other one. That's
then you're in trouble.
Fun.
So Tiff Melius here, and she is a taller and quite burly climber. Let's see what she can put down here with about a minute to go, minute and a half. If she can hold the tension, no. Just going to let it swing out, maybe try something different next time. Hayden and Guy still working. How Canadian selection will work for the Tokyo Olympics? It is not up to Canada for the Tokyo Olympics. The Olympics as a demonstration, Tyler's laughing at them. We'll talk more about the Olympics later. Selection-wise, that is going to be a world ranking only. So you will need to have placed in the top, and I can't remember if it's 15 or 20 at the overall world title. You will have need to done all 3 disciplines and have a combined world ranking at a cutoff in which the Olympics has said we're only taking 20 people to a demonstration sport. So there is a maximum number of climbers per country. So you can't have 20 Japanese climbers or 20 French climbers. But just because you're Canadian doesn't mean that you get to go in. You must have a world ranking.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things that make it that it's not necessarily certain that there will be any Canadians in the Olympics at all. It is a hard cap of 20 athletes from around the world, and the selection makes it so that there will be some athletes from ideally every continent. So depending on who shows up and who the well-rounded climbers are, there's a chance you won't see any Canadians. But fortunately, Sean McCall, 2 world championships in a row, has been the overall combined champion, ultimate world champion of all climbing disciplines. He's in a really good spot, so I know that's a target of his. The only thing you say is, you know, there haven't been a lot of climbers like him who have tried to compete in all 3 disciplines, and now that the Olympics are around, that's changing, and he's going to have more competition than he did in the past.
Exactly, and you know, speed climbing is every technical discipline climber's worst event. But eventually you're going to catch somebody who's shockingly good at speed climbing and maybe not quite as good at one of the other disciplines who will be able to move up in the rankings just based on how well they do in speed climbing. So the combined event is really, I mean, right now it's a mystery. Almost none of the World Cup competitors do all 3, and a shocking number don't even do bouldering and lead together. So the seasons are very close together. I'm curious to see if the IFSC moves the events around so it provides a better opportunity for some of the athletes to do all of the events in all the disciplines, give people a chance to get that kind of practice and training and then be able to get a ranking. So in the year before the Olympics, I'm sure that we will see some changes from the IFSC in terms of their schedule and ranking, and we're going to be able to get our climbers in for Tokyo.
Yeah, man, but our newest climbers out on the wall for the men is Florent Balsez. He's been in Toronto for quite a long time, but he is a French national, so he's one of the foreign nationals in this event. And then to his left is Chloe Earle from British Columbia, born 2000, so she's part of the younger cohort. But I mean, there's a, you know, between Sophie and Chloe and Mika, there's a strong bunch of girls born around the millennium who have been really throwing down. And they all just kind of elbow each other in and out of the way, so I'm excited to see how that pans out through semis and see if any of them can make it to finals this year. Seb Lazur on the screen on men's number 2, one of the trickier boulders we've seen so far. He's one of the guys that may have actually climbed on these volumes, being from Quebec, and he locked down the bonus no problem, so that's all his, but at this point he's got to feel comfortable repositioning, getting his right foot where the left one is, getting the left out for a bit of a flag to the tiny volume, and this is like classic Seb Lazur, just taking it so slow. I love this.
Very, very precise, a very good technical climber.
I had the pleasure of watching him do a no-hands traverse across 3 different holds at an alley-up Tour de Bloc 2 years ago. It took him 3 minutes, but he flashed it.
But he flashed it.
And it was the most nail-biting 3 minutes I've ever experienced, but it was sick. And just lock this thing down. You know how to crimp. You got it, Seb.
Very clean. And he's definitely one of those other climbers that we would have expected to have seen much higher up in the ranking going into semifinals.
Yeah, and again, because Seb, if I have it right, I'm pretty sure he was in the Four Tops Club. So all the climbers seem to agree there was one very hard problem yesterday, and the rest came down to just not messing up. So he's pretty well up there. I think there's just a lot of shuffling because a lot of climbers effectively topped the same number of boulders, and it did come down to attempts.
Mm-hmm. So we're getting a good look at women's 3 and 4 here. Women's 4, I mean, I don't even know what style you would describe this. It's powerful for sure.
Yes, it is.
It's got pinches, it's got crimps, it's got accuracy, and then at the top it's got volume wrestling. So a mixed bag.
Yeah, coming off the pinches, which a lot of women aren't going to be super psyched about. They're going to be coming into a couple crimps that are screwed onto those new dimension volumes. There are 2 dimension volumes slammed side by side right above Justine's head there, which I think you're going to be holding on to, but very quickly moving out to the big blue holes above it because you really can't get any purchase there.
No, there are no screw-ons on the top of that, and the angle is on so it's an angled wall and an angled set of volumes, and they're...
Yeah, you cannot cut the feet. So you got to get out to that next blue thing. And after that, there's a lot of opposition. It's not too bad. The finish hold's a big sloper, but it's pretty and cut from the left side. So as long as you got your feet up, it won't be a problem. But yeah, it is a burly climb. Justine looking like she's a little bit gassed on this one.
Like that body position shows exactly that. Like, you know what? I might be over it right now.
Yeah, and that'll end Justine's round. So that's the first woman that came out today, and her round is now done. So we're getting into this thing, man. Our next climbers that are coming out, if I don't mess it up, we're going to have...
Francis Bilodeau.
All these things are out of line. Francis and Alex Kusala from Ontario. And we're back on the camera.
Hey, look at us. We should just stare awkwardly at it and say nothing whenever they cut to us.
Yeah, absolutely. That would work for me. I don't know how much there is to see over here. We're pleasant enough people.
Right.
But,
we are very nice people.
But, there's stuff going on elsewhere. But, but anyways... just a reminder, if you're watching now, you are definitely one of the diehards, so thank you for joining us. You'll find results at compseason.com. You can track those along with us. Actually, I haven't even looked at them, so I don't know if they're live scores or if they're going to come in as the climbers are done their rounds, so we'll find out. Just remember that we're taking the top 6 from this round into finals. Finals tonight. I think we're going to go live around 6 o'clock-ish, but the climbing or the athlete presentation is scheduled for 6:30. So make sure you get your friends together. Put it up at the gym if you're working the night shift at the front desk. Throw the comp on the TV so all your members can watch, and you can watch some of your favorite climbers at the Canadian Open Bouldering National Championship Finals.
Which is always a great show.
It's going to be the best.
It is going to be the best. World Cup format of the finals provides an opportunity to only have to look at 2 boulders at a time, one set of women climbing, one set of men climbing, so you're not split across the action. Because it is a collaborative format ahead of time, you can set harder, more complex boulders because the climbers can discuss the beta beforehand in their preview. It just provides for a really, really, really good show. So I hear some cheering, but somebody has topped something just off our screen. And we get to see Lisa Van de Pan up on number 4.
I'm willing to bet Francis Bilodeau put down men's number 1 pretty fast.
I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah. So Kirill Kressling on his final climb, along with Lisa Van de Pan there on women's and men's number 4. Veronique Goslin on women's number 3 is all the pink holds. And then if I got it right, it was Aidan Doyle on the screen. Here is Guy McNamee getting real close to the top of men's number 2. And this one's eluded a lot of folks. I'm hoping he can see the left foot volume better than we can.
It's in there. It's around the bottom of the T, I think.
Yeah. I think he was looking at it, but just having trouble trying to figure out how to move the hips so he could get his foot up on that thing.
There's an interesting question here, too, on the live stream. Why non-Canadian climbers in a national championship? Because it is still a competition. It's open to anyone. So anybody that wants to go and enter, you can have Canadians go down to the U.S. You can have anybody that's in town will compete at a big comp. And people want to put big comps in their season, test themselves against other countries and see what that looks like. So I know Sean McCall has won the French national championship before, or at least podiumed in it. But what you get is if an American or a foreign national wins, they win the competition and they win the prize money, but the top placing Canadian is your national champion. It's always a bit funny. It happened 2 years ago in Vancouver. Alex Fritz won the comp, Sean McCall second, but obviously Canadian champion. You can't be the Canadian champion from another country.
Yeah, this is a pretty long-standing tradition in climbing. Sean McCall's big coming out was the 2011 U.S. Boulder Nationals when he won the thing. A couple of years later, Eula Worm from Germany won the women's event down in the States. And of course, we've always had foreign nationals coming up here. I'm curious, Pete, you've been paying attention to national level climbing for a while. This year especially, I've been noticing a lot of people asking that question and starting to almost, wonder, why do we let foreign nationals come to our youth comps, come to our open comps? And I just haven't seen that question come up that much before. Is that something you've been seeing throughout your entire career in climbing, or do you feel like it's kind of a new thing?
I think that it's more prominent now because I think that there's more teams and more sponsorship and more money for enabling climbers to travel farther to go to comps. It's definitely always been a factor. People have been in town. If comps are close to each other, geographically as well as on the calendar, then it's an opportunity for those athletes to get another big-time comp under their belt. But I think that it's happening more now because we have more well-provided-for athletes who are able to travel. I don't mind it at all. I think that if you want to see how you stack up against some of them, you see how slowly Guy is making this move where everyone else dead pointed. He is going to try and do it statically.
It's time to turn on the jet engines, Guy. Come on, bud.
I mean, he can lock off as well as anyone. But this is a dead point.
And Alex Kusala looking like she's going into probably her final. I wonder if she's going to get back on. Probably not.
Probably not.
That's too bad for her. But yeah, Alex has been a fun one because we've always known she's been a strong Toronto area climber, but she spends a lot of time setting. I think she's been in school as well. This year she's actually been showing up to comps and putting up solid numbers. So I hope she has a good round. Maybe some encouragement to stay involved next season.
For sure. And I noticed yesterday that she had trouble on the first couple of boulders, which the ladies would tell you were the easier boulders, and then destroyed the two hardest boulders, which everyone else fell off of. And if you get a good look, she is a strong climber. She's got big shoulders. She's definitely a powerful climber, and those were powerful boulders. So she's got a skill set, and if she can maybe expand that skill set out to bring some of the more subtle technical climbing in, then she'll become really well-rounded.
Yeah, True North Climbing has kind of a heritage in Toronto as being one of the powerful gyms. She fits right in there along with, Sean Hunter worked there for a long time, Dustin Curtis, and so through its entire time being open, that was a powerful place.
They all have biceps. And all of those people have biceps that you've just mentioned.
Man. Yeah, exactly. No, that's.
I mean, not like you and I. But they have biceps.
In a way, not like you and I. Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why I wear so many jackets. It's to look bigger.
Double long sleeves. Timothy Ng out on number 1 for the gentlemen.
Yeah, it's good to see him getting through to a semis. I think he's going to be really happy with that. And Audrey La Rochelle from Quebec is on women's number 1, getting some help with the brushing on those holds.
As we see Flo gently, he's another good he's a very good all-round climber. Sometimes you see Flo look like he should be in finals and not be, and then sometimes you see him absolutely appear near the top of the podium. So he's a bit mercurial, I would say, but when he's dialed in,
good word,
not bad,
nice
hey.
Word.
It's on my list here. I've got a list that you guys can't see of things to say. But when he is on, he is an excellent all-round rock climber.
Yeah, he's been interesting for me. He's just a really interesting guy. He's a fun guy to hang around. He's an emotional climber. He's got good comps and bad comps, but he's always, generally in local comps, always in finals. So he puts on a good show, and a lot of kids look up to him as well, just being one of those very powerful guys.
Yeah, and very approachable, very nice. Like, he has a calm demeanor when you're hanging out with him, but the emotion does kick up when you're in a comp, as it does with a lot of people. I was one of those people. I've kicked chalk bags clear across parking lots, and then I've also been able to be calm when required. So I have no problems. I never fault somebody for being an emotional climber. Obviously, being inappropriate, punching walls and being loud and obnoxious during the comp, I don't agree with that. But you can get your frustrations out. You can look angry. You can look happy. All of these things are fine. The calm, steady, no emotion climbers make me nervous. I don't know what they're thinking.
You can't trust those people, man.
Right? Shifty eyes. They just look like they're like, I'm doing something else. And you're like, get mad.
Exactly. Yeah, we got Sophie and Remy on their final climbs of the day.
And Alex Fricker.
And Alex Fricker. Yeah, as he was kind of perusing the climbs before emceeing, he was saying, like, man, I could have topped this. Man, I could have topped this. Man, I could have topped this. And like, yeah.
I would have shouted on this one, but then I would have topped it.
Yeah. Oh, Remy looking good. And on that volume that Remy is holding in his hands, there's only 2 little screw-ons. It's really built for one hand, so you get a thumb catch and a couple fingers on one side. So getting both hands on there is pretty whack.
Yeah, and he's always really working hard. I don't know if you can hear the screaming, but. And this proved to be a difficult body position. JJ with the double toe, the heel toe squeezing the box, looked the most comfortable.
Yeah, I really liked his technique. Lucas topped it in the position that Remy's in right now, just really getting his left hip into the cave and finding some balance there. So curious to see what Remy does. Just make it work, man. Now's not the time to fall.
No, you do this. I mean, you're up here, and the only thing you're thinking, there you go.
Nice job, dude.
I love seeing that subtle shift in body position of climbers who look like they have so much to think about, and then all of a sudden everything changes and they just top a boulder. So that's finding the subtlety of that body position that locks them in is something that's really enjoyable to see just transition through.
And I'm still waiting to see a top on this women's number 4, and I feel like Sophie, along with the next couple climbers, are some of the ones that could do it.
She was trying to go double.
I don't like that. Yeah, sorry.
Didn't look great.
Not Sykes. We got to go. I'm pretty sure we got to go right hand first, folks.
Yeah. Now the volume.
Let's go, Seb.
The volume that is beside the bonus hold is you can't slide down and catch it. There's nothing stopping your momentum from coming down. You see her just sort of tap it and come off again. Yeah, there's no way to oppose it when you're sliding straight down.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta go to the blue first. I'm pretty certain, using the left foot on one of the start pinches to keep a bit of control. Maybe you do have some screw-ons available to play around with, so maybe over there. But yeah, going left hand first isn't going to work out. We'll see if Veronique gets it. This will be her final problem on women's number 4. Who do we got next?
Jake Tiger, and we got Yinky Ying.
All right, I'm excited for that. That's going to be fun. A bunch of the teammates that she climbs with are out in the States training. They're too young to be at this comp, so they're getting ready for lead season down in Michigan. But yeah, Yinky, born 2001, another one of the youngest climbers in this round.
And it's worth noting that there is a cutoff in age to compete at Open Nationals. There are no 12 and 13-year-olds here.
Yes, you got to turn 16 in this calendar year before you can compete at Open Nationals. So this year, if you were born 2002, that's the youngest year that you can compete.
2002.
Right 2002, man. Let's not think about that too hard.
I'm not going to think about that too hard.
What do we got on our screen? We got Alex Kuzula from here in Toronto, just popping off women's 2. Guy McNamee feeling up men's number 3. And then just on the left, if I remember right.
Francis on men's 2.
Yes, so we missed his flash, I think, or a top at least of men's number 1. I'd love to see him on this climb. He's definitely a great climber out of Quebec, and I feel like I just don't get a chance to see him climb that much.
Jake going inside out.
Jake just being a psycho on men's
When in doubt, face out.
If it works, it works, man.
It looked really clean. I know he's a taller climber.
Yeah, it looked good.
But that looked really good. And then...
ooh, baby.
I stopped just short of saying, and he's going to get an easy top out of this, because that's you don't want to do that.
I've watched a lot of Jake hitting finish holds and not sticking them in the last couple months. I hope this isn't a repeat of that. I would love to see some legit tops from that boy.
That is not a habit that you want to get into.
No, it's not fun, man. I know he doesn't like it, so hopefully he gets a score that makes him happy. Tiff Melius on women's number 3 here. And Veronique Goslin and Aidan Doyle on the rest of the screen.
Had an interesting conversation with Tiff yesterday. Said she has not competed a lot this year. So her training plan has been not to do a lot of competitions, but to do a lot of training. So she came in yesterday vibrating. She was so excited and ready to climb. She loves to compete, and that she's been building up that desire and that need for that, the energy you get from competition that you can't get from training. And was just really, really excited to have a chance to be in a competition instead of just in the gym.
Yeah, so you and I talk a lot about trying to make this a sport that more people watch. Obviously, we have a vested interest. We like doing this commentator stuff. We like making this a bit of a spectator sport. And, you know, as things evolve, there are some sports that go in the direction of training a lot, competing rarely. And that's something, personally, and again, I've never been a competitive athlete, but that's something that makes me a bit nervous from my side. I want a chance to see these competitors compete a lot. I want a chance to cheer for them and talk about it and watch and, you know, rib my friends about bad predictions. I'd be really sad to see climbers compete less. Especially if they start following more of an Olympic model. I don't know how you feel about that, but it worries me a little bit because I'm a spectator. That's where my interest is, and I hope I get a chance to still see them climb.
I wholeheartedly agree. As you see, just falling prey to the angle of that finish crimp. It's set into a Gaston, and your whole body is telling you to go right. So that's a hard stick for sure. I too, nice top from Francis. I too would be concerned about less competing. The heart of competition climbing for as long as I've been competing, which is going on 25 years, has been that you go to a lot of comps. Local comps, provincial comps, regional comps. You travel to someone else's local comps to get that, just to have the chance to compete, because the route setting wasn't the way it is now. And to climb competition boulders, you needed to go to competitions. Now a lot of gyms are setting competition boulders. I know the Bloc Shop has a competition wall that rarely gets a fill, and are all competition style boulders. So you can now train the style, but you can't train the environment. You can't train the pressure. You can't train all of the things that come with being in competition. So I think your fears are maybe justified, but hopefully not something we're going to see, because competition really is the heart of this side of sport climbing.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that's where I'd land. We missed a top from Aidan Doyle on men's number 4, so that was a nice finish for BC's Aidan. And again, if you want to keep track of the scores, you can go to compseason.com, where you'll find that stuff in the very first link at Up the Block here in Mississauga.
And we got a question: is it busy down there? I would come down and watch. As much as the live stream obviously is an enjoyable experience, if you can get here to be part of that crowd and be part of the energy in the room, then absolutely. It's not that busy. There's room for a couple hundred people to watch for sure. So if you're in the Toronto area, you should come on down and watch finals for sure.
Yeah, the best way to watch this is live in person. Alex Fricker's doing a great job of the MC. I'm really excited for him. If you can't, watching it streaming is as good as it gets. But I think in terms of whether this stuff's going to get on TV, and I just saw somebody in the chat ask, whether or not we're going to see climbing on TV. I think you're going to see it for the Olympics. Here's a little fist bump, hoping that it's you and I, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But you got to wonder if TV's as relevant for a lot of sports now as it may have been back in the day. Streaming on the internet is cheaper, and I'm not sure TV is more convenient for a lot of viewers. I certainly don't own a TV anymore. I watch everything on my computer, so I'd be very happy if we just stayed with really high quality streaming. I think that's pretty well as good as it gets.
Again, you and I talked about that yesterday, and the spin between people that pay for cable and people that pay for Netflix and people that pay for all these other approaches to watching entertainment, and then there is this wonderful opportunity to have live streaming, to have things on their computer and readily available and be able to re-watch them. So TV maybe not so much. Other media outlets, definitely.
Our new climbers on the wall, both from Quebec. We have Ariane Sisavath and Marc-Antoine Vigneault.
Marc-Antoine's been coaching the last few years and then been hurt a little bit and has been training like a fiend.
Yeah, I know him as a coach, and I was honestly surprised to see him in finals because I don't think of him as a competitor yet.
Yeah.
And that might be kind of dumb because he did come first place at a Tour de Bloc earlier this season, if I remember right. But that's still something I mentally got to wrap my head around.
And he will have the largest shirt of all finalists.
Give me some of that Quebec fashion, Mark.
Jake will have the most socks, and Marco will have the biggest shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Who do we got on the screen? So we got Mark on men's number 1, Tim Ing beside him on men's 2, and on the other side you got Chloe Earle on women's number 3 and Kat Karkner on women's number 4.
Who could probably climb men's number 4, just for the record.
Yeah, probably. I would be really interested to see the girls on men's number 4 because the moves there's not a ton of moves, and yeah, I think that would be a fun test for them. Maybe we'll get on it later. We'll see.
So we just saw Audrey come in and out of your screen. Not topping women's number 2, I would suspect. Tim electing to try and go to the footholds, so he's getting a little bit suckered in by the start tape. and feeling that the right way to do this is to go and press up out of the footholds instead of the pure mantle. But there are multiple ways to do these boulders, and I think some people think that the root setters set a problem and set it to be done in one way. Climbing's not binary. It isn't, you must do it in this way. Often there is an easiest way to do it. Often there's the intended way to do it, and sometimes they see that, yeah, you might skip this, you might try that, and they're okay with it. They want the climbs to be done the way they envision them, but they're not always done that way, and that's what makes it interesting, is someone's going to come up and do something that the root setters will look at each other and say, well, who would think? Why would you even? And then end up topping a boulder.
Sorry, Pete, I got distracted by the Ariana Grande on the DJ set list. My favorite song on earth right now. So
I'll give you a minute. You hang out for a minute.
You hang
out for a minute, and we'll stay over here.
I'm back.
I'm back.
I'm still waiting for a top on women's number 4. I really like this. Like looking at it, I really liked it mostly because it's some new volumes and some nice smooth holds. I dig the moves and stuff. And I mean, we've already seen a bunch of powerful girls, but maybe we need to up it even further as we go on. Oh, yeah, you're pointing out who's coming out next.
I think who's coming out next, by the time she gets through to number 4, you might have to wait a minute, but I think that's the powerful climber that you're talking about. And Marco is...
ooh, that's a dicey fall.
Going a bit out of control.
A little bit.
That's as you were saying earlier, you need to go to that hold and be very much in control of all of your limbs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody that could go a little dynamic, but man, you got to squeeze the hell out of that thing.
I mean, I kind of maybe envision that Sean is going to hit that with his classic one-arm swing, already looking out to the crowd.
Yeah, he'll be smiling.
And then match on the way back.
He'll be smiling to the cameras before he even hits the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be easy.
And I've only seen that let him down maybe once or twice in his entire career.
Yeah. It's worth it. It's worth it. Especially if you know you're going to finals, then why not throw it in?
Why not?
It's all good.
All right, so that's going to tip us over.
And yeah, I think we have our first shot of Yinky Yang here on women's number 4. And to her left is that still Jake? Yeah, that's Jake on men's 2. Ooh, here we go. Kai Watton from Ontario on men's number 1. A really tall climber. I love watching him because it makes me think of what I could do if I tried a little bit harder. And then also with him, of course, Allison Vest from British Columbia. Last year, I was psyched about the Allison versus Alana rivalry. I loved seeing those two climb against each other. And I don't want to say rivalry because they're great friends.
Great friends.
But, man, like those two pushing each other is a lot of fun for me to watch. I'm excited to see if we can get them both to finals.
And she is, and she won't mind that I say this, she is straight thug. Allison Vest is a 100% thug climber, embraces it, obviously has the technique required to be a top-end competitive climber. But if you get her swinging her legs around and needing to squeeze holds, she will absolutely do that for you. And there's a question came up that I was hoping that someone would ask it so that I would not have to bring it up unannounced. Where is Josh Muller? Josh Muller is sitting on his couch at home. He just texted me a little while ago. He is sort of over competing. He competed a couple locals this year. He opened a gym, which is a lot of work. So he opened boulder climbing in Calgary. As we see Jake try the double press. He opened boulder climbing with a couple other guys, and that takes a lot of time. Root setting takes a lot of time. You don't get as much training time in. He did go down to America and climb very hard not very long ago. So he's still obviously an excellent climber, and he was trying to put down V15. But he's not interested in competing that hard anymore, I don't think, and is embracing being a gym owner and a coach and focusing on rock.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people that can operate a gym and be a high-level competitive climber. Shout out to those guys that do, for sure. But yeah, man, that's like maintaining the training lifestyle is not easy.
No, we used to talk about who the hardest climbing gym owner was, and it was a pretty good debate for a while. You had some very good climbers. Only Dan Podgy owned a gym. You had some people out here, very strong climbers owning gyms, and then. Maybe now it's spread a little bit more. You get businessmen owning gyms more than just climbers that want to have their own house to train in.
It's a whole lot easier to make money and support your family off of gym money rather than competition money, so I definitely don't blame them.
I wonder what the percentage difference
is. As your 20s fade away and your priorities change.
And you go from ramen to maybe ramen with something in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you might just have an egg in it for the first time.
So let's see Francis moving to this pinch.
Stick this thing, man.
Very nice. So I think that's the first male to stick that pinch, and the noise of the crowd will tell you that that's the first person to do this.
And then he's going up to a little escape edge.
Oh, wonderful.
That's done.
He's psyched. And he made that look a bit pedestrian. He held the swing relatively easily. Put that thing away. Jake has been having his fair share of issues. And I do think Allison flashed women's one. I do think that happened. Oh, great. Now we have Up the Block honing in on our chat. That's what we needed.
That's exactly Luigi.
Yeah, listen, we can see him from here.
Spamming the chat, making fun of people.
Chat. Somebody go take that phone away from him.
But seriously, Tosh, could you just start competing again, please? We miss you.
All right, so Kai with a minute to go. Just heard the whistle in the background. Going static cleanly. And so while we saw JJ do that right off the hop, this is actually a very difficult boulder. So the bonus is given away quite easily, and then the top is deceptive. And I think these guys are walking out thinking, oh, I'm just going to rock up and dead point to that thing and I'll be fine.
Yeah, the foot is huge, but you don't get a lot of friction because the angle is bad. The handhold is low, so it's hard to actually get yourself, under it and create momentum because it's so far back, and then the hold you're going to is so uncertain. So you got to get all the ingredients together to bake that cake.
We promised cake yesterday. We said we would have cake today. I did not bring one.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
We got an easy bake oven under the table. Alex, give me this. Come on, girl.
Oh, going.
Man, you got to be tired coming into these problems.
Yeah.
Like, I don't envy anybody that has to climb women's number 4. And
that's going to do it. So I saw Tiff throw a heel up in an attempt to walk along that volume, and then elected to go back to the double.
Yeah, so we got some new climbers out. If I saw correctly, we've got Kiefer Vandenbosch from Quebec, along with Becca Frangos. Yeah, I think of her as an Alberta person, but she's wearing a BC jersey.
So
do you know what that's about?
It hurts my heart a little bit to see Becca Frangos wearing a BC jersey, and it is where you are living at the time. So it's not. We don't do citizenship.
Is she out there for school, or what's going on?
She's out there for school. Yeah, she's at university in Victoria, and training really hard out there. She hasn't lost anything moving from Canmore, from Alberta, out there in terms of the environment she gets to train in. She's got some great training partners there, as she did when she was in Alberta. It just hurts a little bit when you see the people that were your home climbers wearing a jersey from another province.
Yeah, and her sister, of course, Sarah, now in Ontario, training out of Guelph while she's at school. So, yeah, it's just the Alberta exodus. I don't know what's going on, man.
We don't have a lot of good schools.
Where'd all those oil jobs go, dude?
They went far, far away.
All right, so that's Ariane making a toss on women's number 2, Timing on the pink to the right, and then if I got it right, Audrey La Rochelle and Chloe Earl. And you just see a bit of Marc-Antoine on your left.
Lots of brushing going on.
Lots of brushing. Ariane Sisabath is a bit of an unknown. I've seen her name at a bunch of comps, but I think this is the first time I've seen her climb. Curious to see how this round goes for her, for sure.
Ooh. Sudden removal of Marco.
Oh, Kiefer.
Got up.
That would be something else. It looked good for a second there.
It looked great for a second.
Gravity won that fight.
And Becca, interesting, is the subject of a women in sport documentary called Heroic, if I remember correctly. So they've been following her around for quite some time, training, climbing, some studio, some interview time, and they're here milling around nationals, getting lots of interesting footage together. So it's great to see that. It's great to see young Canadian climbers being presented in the media. So this is another opportunity for someone to watch that on what I assume is going to be on TV and say, oh, climbing, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's nice to see a little bit of attention being given to the girls. In fact, there's 2 different shows being shot here today, the Heroic Show and another one I don't know the name of. So yeah, it is cool that people think that there's enough interest in this to include it in mainstream TV. And of course, I'm sure you'll see it on social media when those things are released. And if they're not going to be psyched about that, Byrne, that's too bad.
But you see, I mean, he's sticking that in, and he's not controlling the swing. His body is coming underneath, and the way he's falling off, he's not putting the right amount of momentum into that finish move.
Yeah, it's I think you're going to end up with a certain amount of swing. It's just minimizing it before you get there.
And Becca, uncharacteristically, not able to do the first move. I know she's a shorter climber, but that didn't look like a height-dependent move to me. So
it's a bit of a weird start, but I wouldn't blame it on height. Yeah, you're right. Let's see.
And you see the ladies are just, I mean, they're entering a bloodbath down in women's 3 and 4 over here. And as we were just saying right at the top of the show, that the semifinal round is often the hardest boulders that you're going to see, just because we need to test the climbers out.
Yeah.
They're set for the top 10, and we're just getting the top 10 starting the field now. So a couple more climbers through, and I think we're going to start to see some tops on 3 and 4.
Yeah, I hope so. If you've been watching the scores, you know that currently first place is with 1 top and 4 zones, right? With a whole lot of people finishing the round with 0 tops. That's for the women, at least, I should say. So a very hard round for the women. Yeah. We'll see what the top girls do, and of course we've got some really incredibly strong climbers coming up. For the men's, it's a little bit more balanced. We've seen some people finish up with 3 tops and 2 tops. Seb Lazur, actually 3 Quebecois climbers currently in the top 3. Seb Lazur, Francis Bilodeau, and David Trudeau. So we'll see if we can get some Ontario boys to break that up, because a little bit of a patriot over here, I don't think I can accept that. But nice climbing from them.
We have a pseudo visitor.
We're just going to have people bombing it, and if anybody heard that laugh, I'm sure they know exactly who it is.
Just coming to check the results.
Yeah, I guess so.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, we got our turnover right now, and our next climber's out. Oh, these ones get me excited. We've got born in 2001 from Ontario, Mitchell Haight, and born in 2002 and from Quebec is Babette Roy, one of the other climbers who we've been really excited about in her first year of eligibility. Sorry, I can't get a straight face on that one.
I cannot either.
But anyway, so Mitchell Haight, 2001, and Babette Roy, born 2002. So Babette, this is her first year out. She won a bunch of Tour de Blocs, which is very cool. But if I have it right in my head, she also won the Quebec National Series bouldering event. And a lot of big names showed up to that. The Olivia Wyatts, the Veronique Goslins, if I remember correctly, the Pia Graham. I'll pull it up later, but that was a big deal. So I'm excited to see if she can like live up to that when you bring in the full cross-national crowd.
Absolutely, and I asked her yesterday if she thought that competing at Canadian Open Nationals was going to provide the same amount of pressure as competing at international youth events, and her answer was, I don't know, I haven't done one yet.
There you go, man.
So she wasn't going to go any farther down that path, but having podiumed at the Pan American Youth Climbing Championships,
well, yeah,
you would think that sets you up to be amongst some of the best. So there's some of the, I mean, some very, very strong American and South American girls climbing in those categories.
It is worth saying that the 2 youngest competitors that made it to semifinals, Guy McNamee and Babette Roy, both earned a gold medal in bouldering at the Pan Am Youth Championships, both of them in the B category. So that was last season. I'm still waiting for clarification to find out if that gold medal earns them a spot onto the Open World Cup team. I don't think it does, because they were still in Youth B, which is not an eligible age group. It was from last season. But the rules are kind of vague. So I know Lucas gets one from his Pan Am win.
Because he is a junior climber.
Yeah, but I'm still waiting to hear if Guy and Babette earn one as well.
That's a good question. Anybody that knows that watching here, you want to give us a heads up, or anybody?
If anybody pretends they know that, they're faking it.
Step right up and make a bold statement.
No
I think
way.
Tim Vince, one would assume, would know, and Steve Frangos should know.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see.
Steve Frangos, the current president of the Canadian Climbing Association.
Yinky Ying and Alex Kusule both know each other well. They've climbed out at the same gym for a long time, True North in Toronto.
Maybe this is an Alex style boulder.
I think
it is the hardest boulder, so maybe she'll just turn around and throw it down.
It definitely is. It's just after this round where, again, we're seeing girls get no tops in the round, so they're putting in max number of attempts, getting nothing for it, and then having to show up to maybe the burliest problem of the day. That's just like, that's a recipe for just, you know,
tears.
Bad news bears, man.
Tears and pain and suffering. And they're not able to squeeze that crimp hard enough to bring her feet up.
And Francis right at the end of men's number 4 in the corner of your screen. He's so close, but he's not using his left foot on the far side, so he's really in a wacky spot there. That's more like
He was turned inside out for just a minute there.
I like that there. A good rest leaning back on that volume.
Getting a hip scum?
This is getting wacky.
Is that a hip jam?
There's no way he holds that from underneath. Yeah, that's more like it. Come on, man.
But and you see he's got his tunnel vision on. He hasn't thought to bring his feet around. He's just going to try and squeeze harder with the footwork that he's chosen.
Well, I think now that he's like kind of exploring the body position, he's just trying to figure out, oh my God, that is such a bummer.
Double inside out finger press, not enough to oppose.
That's rough.
Well, it is rough.
Do we have time? I don't know. Did you notice how much time we have left?
I did not. We're getting down to maybe a minute.
Yeah, it's looking like it's getting close to being done. I hope he gets one more attempt on that. That would be really nice. All right, we're just hearing through the mics that it is standing room only at this point at the gym. So if you want to come down, it's still worth it. You're going to be surrounded by people that are as psyched as you are. And again, like, you know, climbing comps are excellent, and then when you get to nationals, it's the ultimate recipe for a good time. If you are going to come down for finals, make sure you're here early. The climbing show starts at 6:30. If you're watching from home, we're going to go live around 6. But get here ahead of time so you can get one of those spots. There are very limited numbers of seats available, so you can get one of those. That's awesome. Otherwise, you're just standing among friends, even if you don't know them. This is the climbing crew. You're going to have a good time.
They will be your friends by the time. Maybe throw your deodorant on.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest coming here, you know, with full dirt bag.
Well, Alex is, I mean, on the 4th boulder, you take it down to the wire. There's no reason to walk away from the 4th boulder unless you're bleeding profusely. So you always take that one right down to the buzzer. I think that's going to bring out. That's going to bring us Olivia Wyatt out on the 1st boulder, if I'm not mistaken, and our friend Sean McCall.
Yeah.
Shockingly early in the semifinal round. Yeah,
qualifying in 7th place, if I remember correctly. But again, you know, talking about the scores, everything was so tight yeah, it's a lot of people got 4 tops. So he's up in that crew.
And he's not worried about it. Sean could have qualified in 19th.
Yeah.
And just come out and climb all 4 boulders in the semifinal. He's been competing for so long that he's not wallowing in the why didn't I top all 5 boulders yesterday. He's just going to come out and crush 4 boulders today.
Yeah, he's been a national champion, you know, consistently for a decade. He's won a bunch of World Cups. He's very aware that winning a comp has nothing to do with how many qualifying boulders you top. So yeah, there's no chance he's stressed at all for this. I'm excited to see him probably get 4 tops this round. If the other guys have gotten 3, I'd be expecting 4 from him.
Absolutely. Becca testing out the distance of the dead point on women's 2, and Kiefer just holding the start holds.
Again, he's another tall boy. This start for men's number 2 is going to be a weird position for. Actually, made that look really good.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Nice job, Keith. Marc-Antoine on men's 3. Ariane on women's 3.
Timothy Ng down there on 4, and Audrey La Rochelle.
That's it. A lot of dirty blonde ponytails.
And a lot of black Lululemon pants.
Yeah, man. I get lost between the Bloc shop and the Up the Block jerseys. I start getting confused.
No, I'm 100% with you. And it's like, please just wear the same pants.
Yeah,
it doesn't help
us.
Exactly.
It
doesn't help us.
Give me some color. I want to see the Sportiva pants come out or something like that.
So you want to see the McNamees in their blue and yellow pants generally.
All right, Sean on his first attempt on men's number 1. Bonus dramatic, but he gets
overly dramatic attempt.
And I want to see what his choice is on this climb. I'm sure it's going to be just a quick dead point. Yep.
So easy.
That's gross.
But it is gross. And the thing that you should, if you're watching from home and you want to try and learn a little bit about what makes good climbers better and why the gap between Jay, Sean, and the rest of the field is so broad on these types of boulders is Sean hit the finish hold with his arm bent and his right hand was already moving to match before his legs stopped swinging. like noticeably significantly different from every single other person that's attempted to top that boulder. And his legs never came past 90 degrees. These are the things, these are the subtleties that don't look like subtleties that make all the difference when you're topping very hard boulders.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. The fact that even though he had never seen this problem before and he had never touched the holds, he acknowledged in his very first try that he was going to make the body positioning to limit the momentum, control the hold as much as possible. He's just got that next level of wisdom that comes from that much competition. So yeah, excellent point on just his approach. He really is next level.
Mm-hmm. And obviously strength is a part of it. If you can do 2-finger front levers with weight hanging off you, you can control your body position better. So yes, he's a full-time training climber. He is stronger than almost everyone in the field, but that mental acuity and that ability to read body position from the ground is critical and very hard to teach. Kiefer getting up but not over on this boulder. You know, as we were saying, the dual text dimension volumes may be getting greasier. As the round goes on, some of these smaller footholds and handholds do feel worse and worse and worse to the next rounds of climbers. They get a little bit of skin and chalk on them. Not enough to be significant, but enough to maybe throw off somebody who's not putting as much effort into their footwork. 1 minute to go, I think, here.
But yeah, you're right. When you're tired, when you've gone through a bunch of problems, all those little things really do add up. And especially for the women's side, if you're going through with 0 tops and you end up towards the end of the problems, like, damn, man, your confidence isn't in a good spot. That's a lot to try and deal with.
It's hard to get your muscles to work for you when really you just want to go sit in a corner.
Exactly.
You're like, why is everyone still watching me fall off boulders?
Yeah. I'm curious to see the route setter feedback after this round, if it's what they wanted.
Oh, Marshall. My man Marshall has a point that I would like to make. So, we can hear Alex excited about something, but can't see. Oh, Becca Frangos. I believe that's at the wire. I think we don't have a lot of time left on the clock.
Yeah, the next climbers are getting ready to go. Although Audrey's still climbing, so there's some time.
So the question that Marshall brought up is, please provide commentary on athletes that are A, old, and B, work full-time. They're the only impressive ones. And his point is valid. If you have ever tried to compete at a national level as a part-time, essentially a part-time athlete, where you got to go to work during the day, come home, get to the gym, that's very, very difficult. Balancing that out. Elisa Ethna didn't have a great season last year, and she said she had trouble balancing a career with training. So she didn't know what to do all of a sudden. You can't go to the gym whenever you want. You can't eat whenever you want. You got to go to work, come home, get your act together, and get to the gym. So yes, that's very difficult. And older athletes in a sport that's now getting dominated by people in their 20s, very, very difficult to maintain that amount of effort, strength, desire to climb hard over that a long time. Jason Hollowatch and I think Will Johnson are oldest semifinalists, and they're right up at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something we have to, acknowledge and appreciate, but also just the straight up facts about Canadian athletics is that a lot of our best athletes in a lot of sports work full-time jobs, and that's just the state of funding and performance and sport culture in Canada, for better or for worse. We've all seen the stories in the ads during the Olympics of the people that work a full-time job as a cop, and then they go train for bobsledding at night. Like, whatever it is, that's something that, depending on how our sport evolves, depending on where the money comes from and how much money we get, that could be a reality for a very long time for competitive climbers.
Agreed. And if you want to be somebody on the world stage, you need to be able to have an opportunity to train full-time. We're getting to, I called them dimension volumes. I believe you called them PCM volumes, and I called them dimension volumes. So they are PCM volumes on men's too. So the PCM people would like us to remember that those are their volumes.
Thanks for the pointer, guys. Appreciate it. Gray volumes on gray volumes.
On gray walls.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate the experiment thing that they're doing. I think that's very cool. Okay, who do we got? We got Alex Fritz in the red on men's #1. He's an American, and of course he won this event 2 years ago out in Vancouver, so He's gunning to repeat that if he can make it go. And to his left, you can't see her right now, is Alyssa Weber from Alberta, and she's always a contender. And ooh, Allison Vest just missed.
Very close, but looked good.
Ooh, damn.
Babette.
Nice top from Babette.
Getting inside out with her elbows up on number 2.
And at the moment, just to say, getting one top puts you in the top 6. Like, one top is a huge
One top is
deal
massive right now.
Yeah, so that means a lot. Mitchell Haight, my boy, working through this. Ooh, getting a little dicey there. Hopefully, I know PCM posted a couple pictures of these volumes showing how they were textured in different places. So search Facebook, see if you can find anything so you can see what these are all about. But you get these random areas that are glossy and some spots are not.
And Eric Gagnon is telling me now that they made them specifically for this comp. So these are a test. This is kind of a trial run to see what the climbers can do with something they've never seen before. So I do love that. Allison Vest, I would say casually topping women's number 3.
I don't know. I wish we had heart rate monitors on her to find out how casual that was, but she certainly made it look solid, so that's a big deal.
Yeah, and we love new pours, and for years and years and years and years, hold makers that have been closely tied to competition climbing have made tweaks for large events. They've made finals holds, so the climbers have seen a variation of that shape, but maybe it's shallower, maybe it's deeper, maybe the angles have changed, and that is a great way to test climbers, is to give them holds that they've never come across before. That's what I loved Alex Frigger doing. We had a good chat about emceeing in a venue like this, and I just heard him say, it's too quiet, not enough people doing not enough cheering all around. So the crowd being admonished for not behaving and not supporting the climbers. It is hard in the crowd when not a lot of tops are going on, but you have to appreciate that the work is still being done. You see Yinky getting very close.
She's doing it the way I want her to, at least.
Well, and large amounts of frustration coming from Mitchell Haight.
Yeah.
We're going to see in about 5 seconds or less our next round of climbers. So that's going to bring us
Jacob Elliott from Ontario, and my girl Bronwyn Carness, also from Ontario.
One of our younger finalists, as you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, born 2000, so this is her 3rd run at Nationals. Jacob Elliott, born in, if I remember right, in 97. So he's had a few spins at it, but coming out of high school, I think he's gone back and forth between outdoor climbing and indoor climbing, did some traveling. But man, talk about psych on Jacob Elliott, one of my favorite climbers to watch and talk to, because he's just always high energy about whatever climbing's going on.
It's great, and I'm unfamiliar, having not seen. This is our east-west thing. Our country is too wide to have Ontario and Quebec climbers coming out to Alberta and BC, and vice versa. So Ontario and Quebec climbers used to competing against each other. BC and Ontario climbers used to competing against each other, but rarely do we meet in the middle. We got Becca. Sean with a fresh haircut from yesterday to today, and Becca moving confidently up number 3.
There's no way he got a haircut between these 2 rounds. He was here pretty late last. Well, this doesn't matter. Haircuts don't matter. Becca's about to top this thing on women's number 3.
Just like this. Oh.
I'm hoping she can match her teammates.
Yes.
Nice job from Becca. Yeah, we got 2 tops in this thing, and both are from BC climbers via Alberta. Canmore crowd actually pulling down on women's number 3.
And we are getting into that top echelon of the female climbers as we get into the top 10. That's what we're looking at. Sean McCall deciding how to approach this slab.
Bouncing back and forth.
Just bouncing back and forth.
Problems.
He is a good slab climber. As you were saying that you had seen Seb take 3 minutes to climb a slab. At the World Cup in Canmore a handful of years ago, there was a slab boulder, and I think it took Sean 6 minutes to climb it in the old format of 4+.
Damn. That's commitment, man.
Yeah, just do not fall off.
I would want to have a snack with me, keep a granola bar in my shorts or something. Nice job from Sean, man.
And you saw it again, and you'll see it as often as you can, that he hit the finish hold with a bent arm. giving him room to extend out and absorb some of that momentum and not hitting it at his desperate full extension and basically shock loading all the way down the system.
Yeah, man, you see
just
him
that
climb,
much better.
You just see how far away he is from everybody else.
And, you know, you might get tired of us saying that, but there's no way to not bring it up. Yes, people are nipping at his heels. People are pushing to take over as national champion. But when he's training to do a discipline, he is really, really, really difficult to beat. And I know that some things came out of the training camp that was put on by Udo Neumann in Montreal a couple months ago about the gap between the good climbers nationally and what world competition looks like. It's like, I know you think you're close, but there's a significant leap to be made to podium at a World Cup.
Yeah, if you're second place to Sean McCall in Canada, that doesn't mean much on the world stage. It's pretty easy to come second to a climber like him, but there is a really big gap for the rest of our climbers for now, but it closes every year.
We got
Ariane and Marc-Antoine on their final climbs.
I mean, he landed out of picture.
Yeah, man, he took a vacation. He was leaving on a jet plane on that problem.
Very big swing. So we get a look at Kiefer staring at number 3. And I guess that's Olivia Wyatt looking at number 2. If I'm not mistaken,
yep.
Which I might be.
No, you got it.
We got, as you were saying earlier, a lot of ponytails and black yoga pants at the Edmonton Nationals last year, or I guess now, no, last year. The start list that we had on the live stream was wrong.
Oh, no.
And from the vantage point that we had, it was nearly impossible to tell who they were from the back. And, I mean, we were wrong for a solid percentage of the round.
BK looking like she might actually... Oh, no. I spoke too soon.
You've done it.
I spoke too soon. I'm just going to leave.
Just going to have a quick sit down. And Jacob Elliott got into the finish hold, but did not stick it.
All right.
Anyone know why Julien didn't compete this year? I heard that Julien, he kind of got coerced into competing over the last couple seasons. He's a very strong outdoor climber. I don't think he enjoyed competing. I don't think he enjoyed competing as much as some people might. So we're getting a good look at the results here now, after 3/4 of the field have come through most of the boulders.
Yeah, and again, we've still got those 3 Quebec climbers towards the top with the 3:32 tops. And these results are coming in live, so they will be updated as climbers get new tops. Going down a bit through the list, and you start to see some of the climbers that are yet to come out and also some that didn't qualify for semis. Wah, wah. But yeah, things looking so good. And now you see the contrast here in the women. Only Alison Vest with 3 tops, Becca Frangos with 2, and after that, you're lucky to have a single top after 4 boulders. Wow. Talk about a tough round, man.
But as we kind of thought, the start of the strongest climbers is starting to top boulders with some regularity.
Yes. Yeah. Now that we're starting to see those big guns come out, we'll see some consistency, and I'm hoping Alison Vest can make that 3 tops into a 4 on a W4.
And you see Nathan Smith reaching the finish hold with his hand on the bonus.
Why not?
He's a big, tall man.
If you can do it, do it.
Alec Fritz moving carefully on the slab, and he's touching nothing right now.
Shout out to Seattle. If you're in the chat, make some noise.
I did see Sierra pop up on the chat, so we got at least one American watching, cheering on her compatriot. And I may be eating my words about Alison Vest crushing boulder number 4. She is not getting super far on it, but is trying very hard. Ty quoting songs from 50 years ago.
No, man.
Oh.
Damn, Alex. Getting it close.
Oh, let's have a quick look at the end. There we go. First person to stick that hold, Alison Vest. Just going to get those biceps going.
Ooh, that's not what I expected.
There's nothing on that.
If she can, oh, damn.
Wow. Allison Vest.
I don't know what she's going to do with her left foot unless she just gets a, ooh,
Allison
baby.
Vest, ladies and gentlemen, 4 tops across the round.
That's a happy girl, man.
She is psyched, as she should be.
I think as we get towards the end, I'm going to go and try and find an athlete or two who can maybe give some insight
on the boulders.
Problems. Yeah.
Alyssa Weber, just wandering up number 2 there. Babette getting up, but not to the finish of number 3. Oh yeah, I wouldn't be against having a couple of climbers coming in all sweaty and chalky and letting us know how their ego and fingers are doing.
Yeah, we'll see who we can pull in a few minutes.
Oh, nice climbing from Alex. Has been coaching for quite a few years. You were speaking with him yesterday.
Yeah, you know, he's been out of the youth circuit for a bit, and Seattle and the vertical world team has a really good reputation for, first of all, extremely strong climbers. He's not the only notable name on the vertical world team. I think Sean Bailey's one of them as well. But those guys stick around and do some coaching and help out all the kids they grew up with. And those kids certainly respect their coaches when they're earning tops at a Canadian Nationals. And just props straight up for coming across a continent to compete in another country's nationals. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I do too. And I have been for a lot of years giving our American friends a hard time for coming and competing and podiuming in Canadian comps, but we absolutely love to see it. You know?
Oh, yeah.
You need to be tested. You need to see other people come in and stomp in your pond a little bit.
The old Seattle pond stomp.
Is that a thing? Is that now a thing?
It is now.
We just made it a thing. Sorry, new to the sport, what does FN mean? Foreign national. So that means somebody that's not a native Canadian, which means that they can compete in the comp, but cannot win the title. And it does, we have a quota of Canadian athletes in each round. So the quota for semifinals is 20 and finals is 6, but we do allow for extra Canadians due to foreign nationals. So we want to have 20 Canadians in the semifinal and 6 Canadians in the final. Oh, a nice top from Kai.
Nice job, man.
That's something I'd like to discuss, and is that I am of the unpopular opinion that 6 finalists in finals is what you get. If you have 3 foreign nationals and they are 1, 2, 3, then you get 3 Canadians, and that's that. If you're not good enough to get in finals, you don't get to go to finals.
Well, let's take that the full way and say 6 Americans make it to finals.
Yep.
At that point, are you comfortable with that? Because that's rough, especially from a viewer standpoint, and also from, you know, if we're trying to select a Canadian champion. Hopefully you give them that 3rd stage to actually, you know, make the fight.
And that's the argument that I was hoping you weren't going to bring up, because that's what pokes the hole in it. And you're right, we do need to have Canadians climbing in finals at Canadian Nationals. The competitive side of me wants to say that the 7th place is the best Canadian at that point. But if we're trying to give our athletes a forum to compete in, then yes, we need to have room for them in the finals. But maybe we shorten it. Maybe it's 3 instead of 6.
So is your issue mostly that it can sometimes make rounds too long? Is that like a logistical issue you've got with it?
That's less of a problem for me than sure, you can just have...
Tasty top on women's number 2 from Bronwyn Carness.
Very nice. Yeah, it's more of a, sure, you can have finals even though you didn't officially earn a spot in finals. That's sort of where I hang up about it. I can be talked out of it, but not easily. Becca Frangos, we're going to see what she does to get to a big swing. Not quite able to, I don't think she got deep enough to hold the swing on that, and is guarded by another hold in the way, so you can't overshoot and come back.
Out now on the first problems, you've got Will Johnson from Ontario and Leah Bukowski, also from Ontario. Will Johnson has had some good seasons. Last season wasn't his best, but this time around he comes in and qualifies in basically 3rd place.
He was walking around in a daze after the qualifiers yesterday.
The biggest smile I've ever seen on a climber after that round. Yeah, he just felt like he had a great day. I really hope he can live up to it again. And yeah, he is one of the oldest climbers in this round as well. So,
36
big
this
up
year.
for sticking to it. And Leah Wachowski on women's number 1. I don't know if she topped it already, if she's just off screen, but one of those powerful kind of top 10 Canadian climbers who were interested to see what comes of her nationals result.
Yeah, so people are answering questions for each other on the live stream chat. That's great too.
That's what they should do.
We can handle that. If you know the answer, pop it in there. Jacob moving carefully. I wouldn't be against a quick look at the other half of the wall just to see what's going on as people are finishing their round. Thanks for that.
Olivia, Becca, and Kiefer. Ooh, Kiefer, nice one-hand catch.
So Kiefer getting inside out. Big man in a small space right now. If he can get, we can avoid having that stalactite volume knock him off the wall. Basically taking the long way to school.
Yeah, he's getting close though.
He definitely is.
I don't think he's had a chance to touch the finish. Now that he's starting to suss it out, he's just got to find the body position. Not even.
Not even.
He's just going to take it how it comes. There you go. Yeah. For those of you watching, we've almost got about 400 people watching the show right now. Thank you very much for joining us. And we know you are a little bit crazy if you're that invested in a climbing semifinals, but it is Canadian Open Bouldering Nationals. And tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, we're going live with the finals round where we decide and crown a Canadian national champion.
Olivia.
And we're going to be pulling out all the stops for finals. Our crew, either live, the live streaming, they're ready to go for tonight. We're going to take it far beyond where we're at right now. I think Pete and I will be able to get a little bit more excited. A lot of the viewers don't know that we're sitting right beside isolation, so we can't actually talk very loud. Otherwise, they're going to hear what we're talking about. So yeah, we're gonna make some noise, just like Becca Frangos.
That could not have been timed any better.
I'm half psychic, man. I've got ESPN. I can't remember what crap movie that joke is from, but it doesn't matter.
That was all right. That was all right. So the time is running down. Becca's got that banshee cry going, and Will, launching himself at the finish hold. That's gonna do it for him. Babette getting ready on number 4, and that's the time.
Babette, very emotional coming off women's number 3, so I hope she can find a little bit of calm before getting onto this. One climber who's about to climb that I'm really excited about is Madison Fisher, who we've seen a lot of climbing in Ontario. She's born 2001, so this is her second bite at the apple of nationals. Last year she got injured after coming first place at our National Series bouldering event. Now that injury's out of the way, she's showing back up, and she is constantly a high contender, even being born just in 2001.
Absolutely, and she showed it in her result yesterday, in the way she climbed yesterday. The younger climbers are definitely pushing some of the more seasoned competitors, and them themselves are seasoned competitors on the youth circuit. So now these climbers at 16 and 17 years old have been competing for 6 and 7 years as juniors, and the competition is strong enough in youth that it's not just, oh, you were a youth climber, now you're an open climber.
And there she is right now in the pink shorts. Madison Fisher locks down an easy top, I think on a flash attempt.
I would say so.
Like it's nobody's business.
So we're going to, Rahul Surpra is out, and Eva Thompson are our next 2, and next to last 2. That went faster than I thought it was going to.
Yeah. Pretty easy. A little bit of confusion in Ontario because we have an open National Series bouldering event, but we also have bouldering provincials. Rahul actually came first place at the bouldering provincials in the open category. So he's had some really good high points this season, and qualifying second, one of the 2 guys to get 5 tops. He's excited, but not as excited as Alyssa Weber, who gets a rare top on women's number 3.
Good climbing. She is a relentless competitor.
She's certainly one of the 3, the 3 A's, Alana, Alyssa, and Allison, who are always fighting for first place.
And I'm going to throw an Eva into the mix, who the last couple years has regularly finished in the top 3. She, as well as Will, was, expected to climb well yesterday in the qualifiers, but did not expect to qualify in second place, and was very, very psyched, just saying, hey, I showed up and pulled on the holds, and look what happened. Nate Smith, Eva getting one hand on the finish. Nathan going right hand to the finish, which was really weird. And Ty has graciously given way to Allison Vest. Allison Vest, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling pretty good, Pete Woods.
You're feeling pretty good, and why would that be?
I had a pretty good round.
By pretty good, you mean the only climber to climb 4 boulders to the top and secure the top of those boulders?
I did do that somehow. I was feeling really good in warm-up, and I was hoping that it would carry on into the comp, and I guess it did.
Okay, so help us out a little bit. Women's 4 here, and 3 and 4, which we're looking at right now, which were proving to be the real difficult pieces of the puzzle of this round. What did you do? We haven't seen anybody stick the sloper or the bonus on women's 4. What did you do that they're not doing?
I mean, okay, so it's interesting. For me, all 4 boulders were sort of my style, which I feel like, I don't want to say I got lucky, because my coach, the CEC director, Jeff Thompson, always says luck is preparation meeting opportunity.
I love that.
But in that sense, it was a good opportunity for me because all the boulders were sort of my style, the big, powerful, jumpy. Almost everyone had some sort of jump in it, which worked out really well for me. And then also, a lot of them are pretty classic Caleb Thomas boulders in the sense that they're sort of wonky, really sort of the typical new age comp style bouldering.
A little bit insecure.
Right. And
sometimes things to grab, but not always where you want them to be.
Exactly. And like sort of takes you a second to figure out the sequence. I think also on the last boulder too, it's really hard to tell because I did that move as a double to the sloper and then to the volume at the same time. And I mean, even while I was doing it, I was questioning myself, like, is this the right beta? I don't really know what's going on. Like, so you're considering trying other options, and for a lot of times Caleb boulders are like that. Like you're not totally sure what you're doing
until you stick it.
You're just like, yeah, eventually you're just on the holds all of a sudden.
And we had interestingly said that we thought that the double to the bonus and the sloper was not going to be the way to do that boulder.
And it might not be. I don't know.
And it might not be. But what did you do with your feet? Because we've seen a lot of the women struggle. I said struggle. So now I'm at 1 on my struggle count. We've seen a lot of the ladies so far really not look comfortable even generating momentum to go to that sloper. Did you step on the top of this pinch that Babette's right foot is on? Do you remember?
I might have blacked out at some point in there, but I don't know. I'd like to say it was sort of falling with style. Like you're not really so much moving up as much as you'd like, but you're sort of, as you're slipping off, you're trying to keep going upwards as much as possible and then really, really squeezing hard.
I really like that expression. That's an expression I've heard it used before, which is, it's just sort of ever falling upwards.
Right.
You are at the point of falling off the entire way up the boulder, but you manage to hang on. You are still currently the only person. I mean, you're obviously clearly into finals at this point, so
which is exciting. I was unsure about that yesterday.
Right, and I did not doubt it, and especially once I saw the boulders, I didn't doubt it. What do you do between now, just kind of quickly in a minute or less, 2 minutes? What do you do between now and finals to get refreshed, rested, and fed? It's not a lot of time. We're looking at 1 o'clock now, and finals start at 6.
Honestly, pho, or pho, as Eric would make me call it.
As you would, because that's actually how it's called. Oh, Bronwyn Carnes with a very quick top of number 3.
There's a good pho place right across the street, which is a typical good food to eat in between, so I'll probably do that. And then me and the rest of the Hive crew have an Airbnb kind of close to here, so probably some sort of nap in between.
Right.
Looks like we have Alana on the top of number 1 there.
We do, and this this gave the ladies fits as it gives Alana fits. Holding that toe, a lot of body tension.
I thought that move was the hardest move of the entire round, actually matching the top of the. Yeah. You're just so extended, and that the innie, the so-ill innie, that last hold there, is not very good, and you're really far away from it too. So trying to keep like my calf still hurts. Trying to keep the tension with the heel hook around the corner and matching that hold is very hard. So.
Yeah, I believe it, and a lot of people got there and couldn't finish. As we're just watching Sean try and solve the puzzle of the finishing body sequence.
We actually heard an elusive Sean McCall power scream just a couple minutes ago, which was amazing.
Which is amazing.
On the last move of the 3rd boulder.
Which is great. You don't get that very often.
No, it's cool to see him trying hard for sure.
And getting a rare top on the 3rd men's boulder.
Amazing.
So we're looking at Will and Jay Hollowatch, who is, here we go.
Yeah, I don't even, like, what's the update on the men? I don't know what's going on even.
Not a lot of tops. A couple of people with 3 and 4. Now we're getting into the heart of it. We should, we might get most of our finalists out of this last group of 6 or 7 climbers.
And I actually talked to Will Johnson earlier, and he was stoked on his round yesterday, and so he's carrying that momentum forward, it looks like.
I feel that we got somebody, so disappointing.
Jacob Elliott
getting very close. I'm going to let you roll. I'm going to let you go get your fa. I'm going to let you get your nap in.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to talk about you a lot when we get back to finals in a few hours from now.
Only good things, I hope.
Only good things, Allison Vest. Thanks for hanging out.
There are bad things to say.
I think we're going to bring Lucas Uchida in now. So, Lucas, come have a sit down and walk us through the men's boulders. No, and he's distracted. He's distracted. So, Jay Hollowatch, I'm going to say just before I hand it off to Lucas and here that I'm straight up shocked that he didn't flash this boulder, let alone not do it next time. So Jay's got to reel it in real quick here, and I'm going to pass you off. Lucas Uchida having a sit down.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm back. I pulled Lucas Uchida. He of course is a Pan Am gold medal bouldering champion coming out of last season. But this weekend's been a really interesting ride for you, just barely squeaking in, pretty much due to luck, into the semifinals. And you're kind of mentioning that you might need that luck again to make it into the finals round. Tell me a bit about this semifinals.
It's a lot different than qualifiers. It's a lot of like grabbing holds and like really squeezing them. I'm finding like the finish on M1, like you got to really like squeeze that last hold to stay. And same with M2. I didn't make it to the last hold, but I was hearing that like for the last hold you really had to squeeze it hard, and then the next round to the bonus, they're like squeezing the bonus hard and then squeezing the finish. Yeah,
that's a move we're seeing Jake Elliott fight with right now.
Man.
That's rough stuff.
Yeah. And then same with like the last one, first move, or the move to the bonus. You squeeze the bonus hard. It's like you gotta squeeze really hard this round.
Yeah. So now, if it just comes down to squeezing, you're a strong guy. Do you feel like you're having an off year? Is it just a bad day? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. I think part of it is like I've been trying to gain a lot of other experiences that aren't necessarily the best for my training. I've been trying to I've been involved more in coaching and more in setting, and I've been competing a lot more and just trying to gain a lot of other experiences and trying to take what I can and learn from those experiences.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So it's kind of any time I invest into that is time away from training, right? So walking into this, I don't feel like the most conditioned I've been in the past.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think you've also probably heard, though, from a lot of people you work with that investing time in coaching and route setting is really good for your climbing in the long run, and I think you will walk away with a lot of different perspectives. So while, it might not be great for your climbing this season, I think it's an encouraging thing in the long run. So.
Yeah, and the added perspective has been like super beneficial.
Good, good man.
At the very least, I can appreciate this a whole lot more.
Exactly. Can you just tell me a little bit more, because we're watching Alex Fritz on men's number 4. Can you walk people through some of the stuff they might not see on the camera?
What they might not see. They might not see that, like.
Well, I think the big one is
a lot of it's visible. Maybe on M3.
Yeah.
All the holds on that are like really bad.
Okay.
Especially the bonus. Like the bonus is really, really, really bad.
Okay.
Like if someone can hold on to that, that's amazing.
And there's a top from Alex Fritz. That'll put him up with 3 tops. So a nice finish for him. And we still have Maddie Fisher and Alyssa Weber on 3 and 4. Not quite. Man, I'd really like to see her get that top there.
Has anyone topped women's 3 yet?
Women's 3, yes. Yeah, we saw women's number 3. We saw both Allison and Becca, if I have it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Allison finished up with, I think, 4 tops, if I remember right. Yeah. So yeah, it has seen some tops. But yeah, this is the problem you were talking about.
Yeah,
right?
this one. So those crimps are very small, really sharp at pretty weird angles, and this next it pinches another hold that you really have to squeeze. And
yeah, and we're hearing the scream from Nathan to see if he can make this go, but not quite. You've spent a lot of time climbing and training as a kid with Nathan, and you guys are both fairly similar in age. Has a relationship like that changed how you train or changed how you perceive your time competing? Like having somebody that is a high-level competitor like you, kind of in your demographic and at the same gym?
Well, we haven't trained together for a very long time, but I don't know.
It's just interesting because a lot of people don't get to climb. Like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys haven't trained or climbed as much together.
Well, we used to train and climb a lot, like for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I guess what I'm saying is not a lot of, you'll train with other people of different ages, maybe the same age, but they're not towards the same caliber. But both of you guys have always been like pushing the envelope in your age categories. So I think a lot of kids might envy kind of what you guys have, where you have 2 guys that are really serious about it.
I definitely miss it.
Okay.
Like we haven't been climbing, we haven't gotten the chance to climb a lot together since he's moved out, and yeah, I do miss having that, like having that partner you train with, and like someone who's constantly pushing you and you're pushing them, and like you're kind of like having a friendly competition is.
Yeah, and we're watching Alyssa Weber maybe get another top on women's number 4, but just gets thrown under the bus by the positioning on the final hold. Talk about a rough finish on that. It takes so much investment just to get up to that height, man. Brutal.
This slab as well is also pretty brutal. So these volumes, they're kind of dual text.
I've noticed that some sections of them have texture, some of them don't.
Yeah, so they're kind of a patchwork of texture.
Yeah, we've seen people be very sketchy with their feet, like pretty nervous to do some foot switches, especially on the small pair of volumes there.
It's funny, even though there's texture, the texture's not amazing.
Okay.
It's good, but it's not great.
I was curious if it because people were trying to like aim their feet for the specific texture points, but you're saying the texture isn't even that grippy to maybe do a confident foot switch?
It's really hard to be confident.
That's interesting.
On them, especially aiming with like the point. Aiming for the point of it is hard.
That's not what you normally do, eh?
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. It's a great boulder for the comp, but it's kind of a gross climb.
Yeah, like it's a neat tool. I'd be curious to see something like that be used more, those kind of volumes. So, and the fact that it's Canadian guys experimenting with those, that's really wicked. But yeah, man. So, what you need to get into finals, like you kind of need some more luck going in. If you do happen to make finals after these 2 rounds, where does your mindset sit after really squeaking through almost at the whims of other climbers? How do you feel going into a round like that?
Oh man. Lucky. I feel incredibly lucky. That's probably the first feeling, and then it's just another round. Like I want to do better than just sneaking in. Yeah. So I'll just like get myself amped and ready to go.
Cool, man. Well, I wish you a lot of luck. We'll see how things pan out. I hope everybody climbs well, but if you do make it, we'll be cheering for you. So yeah, thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. And hopefully we'll see you in finals tonight.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. We'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks. And we're bringing Pete back in. Of course, you guys just saw that pretty sketchy top from Alana Yip, just like right hand kind of flailing a bit, barely holding on, but she locked it down, so that's good. And we're watching Jay Hollowatch now from Saskatchewan.
From Alberta.
From Alberta. Let's be clear on where the guy lives. Like,
fair enough.
Just trying to steal people.
Yeah, that's what we do.
He's got the bonus, and he's actually taking this nice and steady. But I don't know if that's going to get him where he wants to go.
I'm going to hope so.
Let's see if this thing actually goes down. Come on, Jason.
He's one of those climbers that can do the slow and steady, and then he can generate a lot of hop out of the slow and steady.
There it is.
There it is. And one of the few climbers that choose to go right hand to that finish hold and manage to keep the left foot on. So completely opposite finishing style from Sean, but equally effective.
Yeah, we just saw the two CR girls, Leah and Bronwyn, getting tossed off on women's 3 and 4. Hopefully we'll see a bit more. I know Bronwyn's looking really good in the scores. And of course, Leah's not done her round yet. And I don't see any, or maybe I just need to refresh my, refresh the scores. But she's going to need some more to get where she wants to be.
Will, I don't know that Will has enjoyed a lot of success yet in his final round, in his semifinal round. He's staring down number 3 with intention. Wow, it is that Allison, the way Allison described this was that she was expecting to not know what to do the whole way up every boulder.
Interesting.
To say that, you know, that she knows that Caleb's style is to try and throw you off a little bit and make you feel like you might be doing the wrong thing. And she said, I don't know if the right thing to do is to double on women's 4 here to the bonus hold and the sloper at the same time, but as she was leaving those volumes, it felt like the right thing to do. She said, even while I was in the air, I wasn't sure that it was going to work, and I was maybe thinking I'd have to rethink it. And then, you know, it worked out. So she said, I don't know if that was the intended sequence, but that's how I decided to do it.
And these two girls spend so much time training together. It's nice to see them climbing side by side.
Both
getting
very nice. Both getting very close to the sort of the moves that make a difference. And we're going to, I think,
come on, Leah.
There we go. Going to see a nice top here.
Good stuff from Leah Rakowski. Yeah, that's
great stuff.
Feel a bit better. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly if it's always hard to tell because the scores are always unofficial. It's hard to tell if they're just not being updated or if there's an error or if or what's going on. But for now, we'll roll with it.
Yes, we do intend to have a timer on the screen for finals. Question came up on the live stream. We do. We want to be able to show you that. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but we're definitely going to try and do it. All right, and we're. I mean, we're getting down to it. We've run out of climbers on problems number 2, so we are only looking at 3 and 4 right now for the rest of the round.
And yeah, you're starting to see what we're looking at here, and it does look like we might be taking an American into finals. Of course, we don't have full results for all of our climbers. Jason Holowach down in 15th right now. He's one of the guys that we expect to see make up some ground over his last 2 problems. And it looks like Lucas Uchida is really riding the rails, as we talked about. Because Alex Fritz is a foreign national, we will be taking 7 into finals. But Lucas is going to have to keep that spot if he really wants to hold on to it. And here you go, all the guys that have made some valiant tries. Some of these, of course, aren't done the round either, so there's still some work to go. But yeah, it's been an impressive round. And honestly, I really like the distribution of age, the distribution geographically. Like, it's been a really nice mix. And I know we are missing some people from semifinals that we normally see, and that always hurts. But it's nice to see some fresh blood, because sometimes it is, you know, an impressive new climber that's having the best season of their lives, and it's fun to get excited about that.
100% agree. It's fun to see the usual suspects, and it's fun to see people getting out under the bright lights for the first time. A couple people up now are definitely used to the bright lights. Nathan.
Oh, Nathan.
Really holding on to that swing. Eva Thompson. Oh, just fumbling the finish hold.
Yeah, that's one you can't mess around with, man. That's one of those kilter, like Ian's geo-jibs. There's no real in-cut. It's lots of little facets. Not that fun to hold, especially in that angle. Just that's a nightmare of a finish hold.
And you see the ladies that top this boulder with the most confidence were up a lot higher and not making any type of dead point to that hold. They were very sure where to hit it.
Yes.
They were very much in control before they got there.
Yeah, they had their weight up and on their feet pretty securely before attempting it, so that's a really good observation.
Nathan doing what all the gentlemen have done to this point, which is work their way around that volume to try and find the best body position. No knee bar, no rib scum, maybe an armpit. And the interesting thing about this, of course, is that the more time you spend messing around up here, if you don't top the boulder, you've burned a lot of time off the clock.
Yeah. With a hard 4, you really gotta, once you get up to the top, you don't want to spend a lot of time up there. You either want to top the thing or you want to get out and save the energy for your second attempt.
Right. Good point. And that's some of the strategy that maybe gets overlooked or is more subtle than you see watching climbing comps is how do you manage your time and how do you decide to walk away from a boulder or Eva Thompson getting closer but still not the right amount of control. How do you decide to walk away from a boulder problem and save the energy versus throwing yourself at it and maybe running out of gas?
The decision's being made a little bit easier for the athletes, though, now that attempts to top is no longer such a big deal. So if you do get up to the top, you don't have to feel so bad about letting go on your first attempt, right? Mm-hmm. Because let's say you do still tie with tops, you're going to bonuses rather than attempts. So you shouldn't feel as guilty anymore as a competitor letting go of a near top because it's not going to hurt you as much as it did in the past.
It's true. I mean, it might hurt you mentally
definitely.
at the time. It's definitely hard to hit the mat and realize that you've got to climb an entire boulder again when you were essentially done.
Yeah, that's nobody's idea of a good day.
Madison and Eva looking at the clock and then making their decisions on when to start that last attempt. So I think I heard the 1 minute buzzer, which is enough time for 2 tries if you get it just quick enough.
Ooh, Maddie. And Raul Sapra's still on men's number 3. Not quite on it, but considering it for one last time, I think.
And he didn't get a lot of luck out of men's number 2 either, so he is unfortunately rapidly sliding down the rankings at this point with a very hard, well, a medium hard boulder to come.
Yeah, and that said, at the moment, you could still get into finals with 2 tops. 3 would definitely, well, probably would lock it in at this point, but so there's still room to go.
People would love to see the spectators' lids not in the shot. Maybe we might have a different camera angles for finals. We'll see what that might be. We can't ask them to sit down, and at this point we can't move the camera. So
all the heads you're seeing are people who are either route setters or volunteers. So we really appreciate them being there, and we're not going to get too angry at them. But for finals, again, we are putting on a big show at 6 p.m. tonight. And we're going to have all of the cameras mobile. We'll have camera operators on them, so you're not going to see stationary shots anymore. We're going to be getting the best angles at the time. So so don't get too worried about that. You're not going to run into that issue for the next round.
Okay, so Will Johnson just walking up to his 4th boulder. Jay Hollowatch on 3. Nobody on 2 anymore. Alana Yip looking at boulder number 3, and that gives us, if I'm not mistaken, Eva Thompson at boulder number 4. Lots of brushing, a little bit of thinking going on, and in this on-site format, the climbers will sometimes take up to a minute to look at that boulder and work out the sequence that they want to go through. These boulders are complex enough that you can't just walk up and grab the start holds and solve it as you go.
Yeah, no, you're right. And again, talking about another change in strategy over the last couple of years, now dealing with the hard 4 minutes, especially in finals. Not so much a change in semis, but it does change how much time you take at the start to kind of meditate on the problem.
Absolutely. A lot less time, especially in finals, without knowing you've got a full extra minute at the end.
Yes.
Jay Hollowatch went casually to the pinch with a low foot. Got there super easily, but just missed being able to hang on. I could see Will's shadow makes me tell me that he's pivoting around that second last hold. And Alana Yip very carefully here.
Yeah, that's some good climbing from Alana, making it so she doesn't have to commit too hard to the finish. She can just kind of lean into it. Nice reach and an easy top on women's 3.
I mean, she is just an excellent climber. I know you were saying yesterday, is this the start of the Alana Yip dynasty? And she's showing no signs that it will not be.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pretend she's reached a Sean McCall level of mastery. You look at somebody like him and you see excellent decision-making all the time. Alana's certainly getting there. So if she starts, rocking out and taking a few more championships, she could certainly reach that level. where you're almost a mythical climber.
Yeah, people now expect you to be on finals instead of just almost expecting, right? You're like, oh, they're surprised when you're not winning or at the top of everything, and there's a lot of pressure that comes with that when people expect you to win everything instead of just, realize that there are, on any given day, 4 or 5 people that can take those top podium spots. All right, so it's Jay Hollowatch working just out of shot. So he's at least his first try did not go as his second try didn't go as planned either. I think his first try on the pinch, that was another attempt. He's on the mat. I think we're looking at now that 3 tops will get you into finals at this point.
For men's, yeah, 3 tops at the moment, but that might not last too long. We'll see how things change. There are currently David Trudeau and Lucas Uchida with only 2 tops in finals. We're looking at that, and of course for men's there's 1 foreign national, so we will have an American, and that adds an extra Canadian, so a total of 7 for the men in finals. And of course, if you guys are in the neighborhood, if you're in the GTA and you're not planning on coming to this comp, well, I don't really know what kind of person it is that tunes in for a semifinals and doesn't come out to a local national finals. You got to reconsider your priorities at that point. But again, I can't emphasize how much fun this comp is. We were here for Twitter Block Championships last year, and it was a party. Of course, we got drinks and food here for sale. Excellent T-shirts. You want to get one of these T-shirts. There's not a lot of comp T-shirts that I would say, hey, you have to have that one. But
the
this
design is spot on.
Yeah, you need this one in your collection. And of course, some of the best climbers in the country. I'm so excited for who it looks like we're going to be taking into finals. Get down here. We're at Dundas and Dixie in Mississauga at Up the Block for the 2018 Canadian Open Bouldering Nationals.
So we got Will, who has not topped the boulder but got up to it, and he's just having trouble holding on to the swing of that move. And Lil Jay Hollowatch, I'm going to say I'm surprised he's not sticking this pinch move. This is right in his wheelhouse. He's going far to go get there, which provides a lot more swing, and I think he's just going to walk away. So he's going to cut his losses, and with the top on 4, he should be fine.
Yeah, I think the top on 4 is probably a guarantee for him. It's not a lot of complicated moves. You just got to not mess up through the sequence in the steep bit. And of course, you want to get the top sooner than later when you're trying to figure out your body positioning. But I mean, it's making it exciting because it's giving Lucas Uchida that chance to maybe stay in it.
Right, and we just saw Will not do the boulder.
Yes.
So that's one of, you want to see your friends do well, but you slowly watch names tick off below you after you finish climbing. That's always a good feeling.
Yeah, no, exactly. And based on the climb so far and how many attempts it takes Jason, it is going to be a very interesting fight between Jay Hollowatch and Lucas Uchida to take that 7th finals position. It's all going to come down to what Jason decides to do, and that kind of reminds me of Nationals last year when Jason had a door wide open to take the win and just couldn't make it happen in a flash attempt. And on the women's side, this is a set of folks that I am excited to see making it through the finals. It's a lot of the names you'd expect, but I'm an Ontario boy, so I'm excited about this. But Madison Fisher, born 2001, it looks like we're going to have a couple kids born 2000 and later getting through to the women's finals.
And that is exciting, and we'll bring it up enough times that the young climbers are starting to assert themselves on the open circuit. They've got a few extra years of hard training, and they're growing into themselves, and they're getting it right. And we got Eva covered in chalk. She took a spill somewhere.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, Eva's one of the ones who could start making some moves. She's not currently in the top 6. She's sitting in 8th, so getting this top would mean a lot, but this has been the hardest top of the day. So if this is what you're relying on, man, did you bet on the wrong horse for something to give you that security?
Absolutely, and I wonder how much she's thinking about boulder number 3 and having touched the finish hold twice.
Yeah, that's a hard lesson to learn.
It is very difficult, and I mean, you'll reflect back if it's the problem that keeps you out of finals. You kick some tires for a week or 2, and then come back again and keep climbing, obviously. But in the moment, it's hard to know that you probably could have got into a final round, but for what may have been a minor mistake.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, a lot of these athletes are very close to locking down a position on the Canadian national team. Eva's results today will set her up so that, you know, if she's not in the official 6, she'll probably get some invites to World Cups if she wants them. But a lot of these athletes, and talking to Lucas as well, you know, they have a bye, they're guaranteed on the national team, but this still means a lot to them, right?
Oh, you still want to win a comp.
Yeah, this is really the one chance a year you get to climb against all of the big names from Canada. So yeah, the World Cups are fun. They're usually a total shutdown for a lot of our athletes, but this is still the comp that means the most, regardless of whether or not you're a clear buy into the national team.
Absolutely. Eva tried the double. It looked there like she was going to go straight to the bonus hold, and ended up trying to hold the swing on those volumes. Not quite able to do it. I mean, it hurts me to say, but at this point, it doesn't look like she's going to manage to pull the top out in 2 minutes or less. And
just that attempt, she just looked tired, man.
Oh, yeah, agreed. And having worked so hard on those, as you were saying, the culmination of those last 3 boulders for the ladies is quite a lot of physical effort, one after another, and a bit of a mental beatdown if you're not getting tops or bonuses.
Yeah.
Rahul has disappeared from the screen. He's has been unable to stick what is essentially the start move.
He's probably got some pasta to strain somewhere off screen. Not really sure.
He does have the tools to perform that task if required.
He does have the kitchen utensils
on hand.
Shout out to Alex Fritz, who's done a pretty good job in this semifinals as the MC.
Yeah, and he texted me last night. He said, "Oh God, I think I'm going to be the MC."
That's the best day of your life. You don't know it, but it's a fun thing to do.
Absolutely, it is.
Ooh, Rahul. I looked like he wasn't getting really a thumb on that, which you desperately need to control this thing.
And I don't know, his body language didn't really look like I want to hang on. It looked like I hope I don't fall off, which sounds the same, but is fundamentally different.
Yeah, maybe. Again, like the amount of energy that you've lost through this round is a lot.
It's a substantial drain. As you see, even having trouble with the start move, just holding the right amount of foot tension. She's going to give it her all right down to the buzzer, as is her way. And that's time. She's going to walk off and make way for Alana Yip and Jason Hollowatch, our final 2 climbers. And we're going to see, I'd like to see a couple flashes out of these guys for sure. They're going to have a real good look. I think Jay probably thinks he needs to flash this, where in reality he just needs to top it. But he's going to have the pressure on himself, definitely being annoyed with not sending the 3rd boulder, I would suspect.
Yeah, you know, he does need to top it. I think he does have a limit on the number of attempts. Of course, this isn't the kind of climb where you're going to be taking a lot of attempts on in the first place. So we'll see what happens. I have a lot of faith in Jason in a situation like this. Again, it's not a complex climb. There's only one spot you can really make a mistake, and that's basically setting up for the throw. Of course, there's a lot of sampling you got to do up for the top, but there's so much room to get good foot positioning. You don't have to panic. You can just kind of suss it out.
Right.
But Alana Yip on this problem is what I'm really excited to see, because we've seen a couple of her friends top it, and I'm hoping she can throw it down with a flash. But there I say it, and there it goes.
There it goes.
Opportunity lost.
Opportunity lost. So easy, so close. She was looking at the bonus as if that was going to be really the first thing she wanted to stick. Allison hit them at the same time. So I always love watching when climbers get close to a move, if they stick with the same attempt and try harder, or if they immediately go to something different.
Yeah.
Jay very casually going one-handed and no swing. And a lot of climbers went right hand and pivoted a lot. So this is the make no mistakes body language that we like to see out of finalists and semifinalists.
And just to be clear, Jason, I believe, can top it now or in his next attempt, but any beyond that, and he will not make it to finals. But it looks like this is a lock. It looks like Lucas Uchida is going to be bumped out of finals.
Oh, and Alana, yeah, very close. Yeah, I mean, that's a heartbreak to have sat on the bubble for, for that long through a round.
Yeah. Yeah, you escape death so many times, and it's the final blow that kills you. That's That's not a fun spectator experience for Lucas, but I mean...
And something we don't get to see a lot of in climbing, because generally the semifinalists are in order of how you expect them to go through, and the people that come out in the 20 to 10 range kind of come out expecting to not do great. But when someone shuffles down, you get the downhill skiing approach where you stand in the start gate and then you had the run of your life.
Yep.
And then you get to watch all the best in the world come after you and think, oh no, am I going to hold up? Is my result going to hold up? And for Lucas, I mean, he survived the test of a dozen people and then just got nipped at the very, very, very end.
Yeah, very hard weekend all around for Lucas, but he's got a lot of friends to cheer on tonight, so hopefully he'll be back, and maybe even forerunning. It'd be great to have some solid guys giving a quick whip on these finals problems before we get going. And of course, finals tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. I think that's midnight Central European time, so if anybody's out there watching, you just got to know some things,
You just got to know things. So if you're out in Central European time, it's fantastic. Alana, yep. Setting up.
I'm just not sold on this left-hand first thing.
No, not at all. And I'm not sold on where your entire body position has to be. You're on the thinnest part of the volume. Your right foot is very far away. The farther right you go, I think the better the body position is. She doesn't need this, but she wants it.
Yeah. You want to have that opportunity to break the ties. You want to top every problem. And we'll just let this play out as the Alana Yip show for this final minute. She's probably got about 40 seconds left.
And checking for blood and give us one more good show. I mean, that was close. That's as close as she's been on all her attempts. Sort of fingertip on both of the bonus hold and that sloper. But definitely needs a lot more to come from those, from her legs, from the push to get up there. You're not generating a lot of force off that volume.
Yeah. And this is really the final climb of semifinals.
Bittersweet almost.
It's so close, but not enough, and that's going to be it.
All right, that is going to do it. Thanks for hanging out with us. That time flew by.
It did.
You know, an hour and a half seems like a lot of time to watch climbing, but really good climbing, really interesting boulders. I would say that's some of the best setting that I've seen in recent memory in terms of testing a variety of skill sets. I know Alison was saying there was quite a few sort of jump and stick moves, but I think there was enough variety across those boulders to really shake down the semifinalists and earn their spots.
Yeah, I think coming into this, a lot of concern was seeing the results from yesterday in qualifiers. There were a lot of people where you looked at their placing and you said, I don't know if that holds up. And like the route setter said earlier, this is really the round to start to decide who goes to the national team, and they needed to get it right. They needed to set the kind of boulders that let people climb and show how good they were compared to each other, and I think they did a really good job of that. So props to them.
Absolutely. And we can't be around a comp without thanking all of the people that go into making it happen. So if you come down up the block and you see Luigi kicking around, if you're here this week and you see Jean-Marc, these guys need a lot of your support and your respect and thanks, of course, for opening up their facility. A lot of these comps tend to actually lose money even on the national level, so they are basically giving everything they have so that our athletes have a forum to put down on that kind of level. So a huge thank you to Up the Block, a huge thank you to Luigi and Jean-Marc, and of course the volunteers and everybody that's a part of an event like this. They don't happen without people that want them to happen. Yeah. Really, in their hearts, want competition climbing to succeed in Canada. Yeah, now before we go, I think we should lay it on the line and give some predictions for finals. All right. So more solid than the predictions that I gave earlier. Yeah, a little more solid. Step out on a limb. We're seeing the results here, and of course, Sean McCall in first place. And we are going to take 7 men. So McCall, Smith, Bilodeau, Lazur, Fritz, Holowach, and Trudeau all making it through the finals in the men's. We got some young guys in there. David Trudeau, really, and Nathan Smith
So that's going to be an excellent round. For the women, well, we'll go through the rest of the men here. Consolation to these guys for not making it into the finals, but a great show, and we appreciate them being here, and congratulations just to make it to semis. And of course the women, where we are taking 6. Vest, Weber, Yip, Karnas, Fisher, and Frangos.
Fantastic.
Damn. A lot of names I expected, and again, just psyched to see a 2001 Maddie Fisher coming through into the finals.
And that's a couple of the younger climbers that you were mentioning, showing what they're worth on this kind of stage, and a couple of names that you expect to see in finals, but I think we've reached a depth in the field in Canadian climbing now that it's no longer those 6 people are better than everyone else. It's these 10 people on any given Sunday have an opportunity to go and show themselves in the finals. So yes, I'd expect to see Eva Thompson in there. Tip Melia is coming very, very close. But there were other climbers who are also regularly on the podium, and that's, as you were saying earlier, that Ontario and Alberta thing, they don't come together very often, and you get to stack up against the other climbers that have been doing just as much training as you along the way. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to say, are we just going to go winning? We're going to win?
Let's just do winners.
Just do win, place, and show, or just win?
Just win for now.
I mean, the easy answer is Sean McCall.
Definitely.
The easy answer is Sean McCall. I didn't see anything today that showed me that anyone was really going to give him a huge amount of trouble. Nathan Smith, a big, powerful climber, but I don't think he doesn't have the subtlety. Francis Bilodeau, same thing, very good. Sepp Lazur and Jay Hollowatch, to me, are the 2 that can make that break. Alex Fritz looked good today, but I don't think he's got what he had in 2016. And I'm going to stick with my man. I'm going to stick with Sean McCall. My heart says Jay Hollowatch because that's my boy. But my money says Sean McCall.
All right, so for the men, I feel the same way. We've also talked about how we know sometimes Sean has a good time and sometimes makes bad decisions because you'll know it'll look good, and I like seeing that. It's a lot of fun, but every once in a while it opens a door for somebody else. So I'm going to say that Alex Fritz being back, I think somebody doesn't fly across the continent unless you're expecting to win. So I'm going to see what Alex Fritz can do just for fun. I think he's my boy. For the ladies, though, I'm going with the safe bet. I think it's Alana Yip all the way. I can't bet against her in this category. As much as I love the Ontario young girls, Bronwyn and Maddie, I think Alana's too far away for now, and I think they need to spend a few more years.
I agree, and I think the Alana Yip show, as you called it earlier, is definitely going to be on display tonight. I am going to take the limb this time, and I'm going to go Allison Vest.
All right.
Allison Vest is that so close, up, down. She, last year, made 1 podium all season and then decided in the big show to make finals and climbed exceptionally well. I think if the boulders are in her style as much as it is, that she's going to do what she did in the semifinal round, and that is just squeeze grips and pull some holds off.
Well, I'm excited to see which of us is right and who's not. And of course, finals goes down tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Yes, midnight Central European Time. And yes, Nalanje, I do know that from Counter-Strike tournaments. We're going to have a great time, and again, the quality of the broadcast is going to go up because we're bringing in the entire crew. The camera guys are here, the setup is changing, the clock's going to be on the screen. Once we only have to focus on 2 climbers instead of 8, we can really take this thing through the top. So you're going to have a great time. We hope you'll all be back, as well as all the friends who you're about to tell about. Hashtag OBN 2018.
OBN 2018. Canadian Open Boulder, Open Canadian Boulder, National Canadian Open Championships is going to be going down. I'm excited about cameras on the floor. I'm excited about being able to see around behind volumes. I'm excited about being able to see different angles for climbers for sure. And I'm excited to see what these guys are going to put on for us. Finals never fails to impress. I don't know how else to hype it up. It's Canadian Nationals. These are your people. These are the best climbers in your country, and a couple of random foreign nationals sprinkled into the mix
just to make it fun.
Yep. Don't miss it is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, don't miss it. We're going to leave it there. My name's Tyler Norton.
Pete Woods.
And we're going to see you guys in a few hours for the finals of the Canadian Open Bouldering Nationals of 2018.
Cheers.